have you a plan in place where you can gather up and continue to keep the Lord's Sabbath day holy. So with that being said, I just put that out there. We're going to make this kind of quick today. Salvation comes with love and contentment. That is today's title. Now, look, the Lord has given us the keys to the kingdom, given us the know-how to actually obtain our salvation. Two major keys. Let's just say the door got a bunch of locks on it in order for you to enter. You know, one of the locks, as we may know, would be faith. You have to have faith in order to obtain your salvation. There's two things also that we brush under the rug which applies to your salvation. We're talking about applies to you getting up at the first resurrection. And that's love and contentment. So we're going to open up our Bible to Psalms chapter 15. It's Psalm without an S. It's the book of Psalms with the S, but each one is a psalm. So we're going to Psalm chapter 15. And we are going to start this off at verse 1. And Brother Whitney, when you get there, go ahead and read. Go ahead, Brother Whitney.
Who shall abide in thy tabernacle?
So that's what we trying to do. We trying to abide in the tabernacle of the Lord. Yeah. That's where we want to reside when it's all said. We want to make it to the kingdom. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart.
So he's showing you how or who gets salvation. He's saying rule number one, you got to walk a certain type of way and your mind got to have a certain agenda to it. It has to speak truth in its heart. We have to battle against the forces of the world and the things that the world has put into our minds. And we have to look, there's a way that seems right into man. We have to leave our level of thinking alone and speak truth in our heart. But go ahead, verse 3.
He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor.
So notice we talking about obtaining salvation. And it's saying like, look, you're not supposed to be backbiting with your tongue. You are supposed to be doing no evil towards your neighbor. So notice what it did. It moved the direction of obtaining your salvation toward how you function with someone else. Keep reading.
Nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is contemned. But he honoreth them that fear the Lord. He that sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not. He that putteth not out his money to usury, nor taketh reward against the innocent. He that doeth these things shall never be moved.
Right. He said you're going to get your salvation if you do these things. And so we're going to look at love and contentment today. 2 Peter chapter 1. 2 Peter chapter 1. It's in the New Testament. Near the end of the book. 2 Peter chapter 1. 2 Peter chapter 1, and we're going to pick this up at verse 6. So what this is right here is what we like to call the fruit of the Spirit. But more importantly, we're going to pick it up at verse 6. But if you were to start at, well, just start it at 6. Go ahead.
And to knowledge, temperance.
So what he's trying to tell you is we're picking it up at knowledge. So we are to obtain knowledge. We are to learn some things. Okay, go ahead, keep reading.
Patience.
And then he says, once you obtain some knowledge, then temperance. Temperance is a level of self-control. So I'm going to be honest with you. In about 5 years, you will pretty much know everything that we teach. When I mean you will pretty much know it, I'm saying you will have a pretty good idea of what all the lessons are. It's not, the wheel doesn't get reinvented. So therefore, you can obtain all the knowledge pretty much in a 5-year span of what we teach. Now, does that mean that, like the book say, with all your getting, get understanding? Just because you know something doesn't mean that you have understanding or that you will display wisdom. So this is showing you how to obtain what you're trying to achieve. So after you obtain the knowledge, he's saying, now you need to get temperance. You need to have self-control. You need to stop yourself from doing things, all right? From saying things, from being what you're not supposed to be. And to knowledge, temperance, and to temperance, patience. And that plays again with self-control, but also that's going to level you out when you have patience. You're not going to be in such a rush, not with people, not with yourselves. It's going to allow you, what they're going to say is going to allow you to take a second to smell the roses. Go ahead, keep reading.
And to patience, godliness.
Right. So now as we continue, he's saying now with this knowledge and this temperance and this patience, now this need to be displayed in you. I need to see God in you by your action. Go ahead, keep reading.
And to godliness, brotherly kindness.
But notice here, he says, and in addition, I think we want to turn it this way. In addition, we need some brotherly kindness. All right. Does this part right here work?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, you're going to turn this one. We're going to keep him straight. And then we're going to turn him. And that way, yeah, there we go. All right. So he says, and godliness, brotherly kindness, and brotherly kindness, charity. Now, from my understanding, charity is, I guess, like they like to say, the highest form of love. But in reality, charity is just love. I mean, it's either you do or you don't. You know what I mean? There is no levels to love. Like, I mean, now you might say, well, I love you, but I don't love you like I love my wife or my husband or something to that effect. I get all that. But there aren't any levels to love. It's just love. And maybe there's a different relationship between my wife and I than between Jude and I. Obviously, there would be a different relationship. But if I love this brother, then I'm going to treat him a certain type of way. Just like if I love my wife, I'm going to treat her a certain type of way. All right. So, charity, it is just love. So it says, and godliness, brotherly kindness. So now he's saying here that you should be kind towards your brethren. Like one of the things that you have to eliminate in your process of trying to obtain your salvation is not to be so doggone mean. Like you could be blunt or straight up or forward, but be considerate. Don't be so mean. It's saying brotherly kindness. Look out for your brother. Then he says in charity, verse 8, go ahead.
For if these be in you and abound, they may make you that ye shall enter, neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ.
So he says, if you can get this list down right here, this is going to put you in a position where you will not be unfruitful in Jesus Christ. You will be a good tree. Now, when you go back to Matthew chapter 7, as well as Matthew chapter 4, it talk about trees that's not bearing the proper fruit, and they get chopped up and thrown into the fire. And in that case, we're talking about the lake of fire, which is real. So he says, if these things be in you, what things? Knowledge, temperance, virtue, faith. We didn't look at those. Patience, godliness, brotherly kindness, and charity. They be in you and abound, they make you that you should neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ. Verse 9.
But he that lacketh these things is blind and cannot see afar off, and hath forgotten that he was purged from his old sins.
So if you can't achieve this, what he's saying is you really ain't, because the knowledge was given to you to begin to make that change in yourself. But if you can't make that change in yourself, then obviously you are under the impression that you're just fine. And if you're under that impression, what he's saying is, but he that lacketh these things is blind and cannot see afar off. Like there's a proverb that said, there's a way which seems right unto man, or every ways of man is right in his own eyes. Okay. Now let's go over to 1 Peter chapter 4. 1 Peter chapter 4. And we're going to pick him up at verse 7. 1 Peter 4 and 7. And when you get there, go ahead and read.
But the end of all things is at hand. But ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins.
All right, so now we see here, he's saying have charity among yourselves. Because see, we all was under the impression that it was just the baptism that covered your sins. But the baptism is more like the ring they say you married. But the way you live it is your life, which in reality is saying I'm married. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can have a ring on your finger and right, you can cheat, or you can just be roommates in the house. We ain't even married. I mean, we have no relationship. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's people like that. Even though y'all got a ring on your finger, that's what the baptism is. The baptism is you saying, yes, I'm going to take part in this covenant with God. Now, you said, at that moment, because you're going to take part in the covenant, the Lord is going to say, all right, so what you was in the past, you good. But if you ain't got no love, it's showing you here, love or charity covers a multitude of sins. So that's past and present. So again, like I tell my children a lot of times, we got the cheat code. I want to tell my kids, I got the cheat code to life. That's what I tell them. I've been telling them that from day one. They a little bitty baby, like her little baby back there. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I got the cheat code to life. Because the rules to obtain it is right here. There are small things like blessed are the merciful, so they should obtain mercy. Don't y'all need mercy? Okay, so then how do you get it? I mean, it's just that simple. Just like the Lord does make this easy. Somebody told me yesterday the commandments are hard to keep. Man, look, the Lord made this real easy. Now he's saying love covers a multitude of sins. Why you think David got away? Honestly, like what type of character was David? From the point of him, being born to the point that he committed this major atrocity of murder and adultery. What type of character was that the Lord said, give him a pass? Now, don't get it twisted. There are consequences for all of your actions. Love, charity may cover a multitude of sins, but it does not mean you're not going to pay. And David is the example of you paying, but at the same time, because of his love and his mercy, the Lord was able to say, but I'm going to let this go, though. I'm going to give you some forgiveness on this one. I'm going to give you a pass. I'm not going to take you out or do you like Saul and have you at the end of your days seeking the
familiar spirit.
Yeah, whatever. The seance chick. What they call her? Cleo. Yeah. What was it? Dionne Warwick. Then she used to have one going too. Yeah. So he said, and above all things have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity should cover a multitude of sins. Then what's the next verse?
Use hospitality one to another without grudging.
Man, that's a tough one. You know what hospitality is? It's when you're giving yourself and your services to somebody else. It might not just be a bed to sleep on. It might not just be a car to ride in. It might not just be a couple dollars to get by. It's all of that. It's being hospitable, being able to be a servant towards somebody else. But then he says, without grudge. So you could do something and have a problem with it. Or you could do something and be like, I'll give you an example. This is my hospitality. So I'm going to use myself. So, we ain't got no church in Philly. They hotel, they won't let us come, whatever. Unfortunately, we ain't got a building yet. We'll touch on that a whole lot later too. With that being said, though, I'm like, man, we got to have a holy convocation. So I, without grudging, opened up my home. Now, of course, I've done that before, but this time it was a little different. But I had to move my desk. I had to take my dining room table out. I had to move the deep freezer. You've been in my house before. Some people like I had to clear it. Now it's chairs downstairs at my house now, so that we can have church. We gonna do, but I'm gonna be hospitable though. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna welcome you in basically from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock or whatever. This is yours. After that, my wife gonna kick you out. I'm just playing. but seriously though, you know what I'm saying? That's being hospitable. Like, you know, I look around, I'm like, well, don't ask yourself who else gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? That's like being like, well, I do it if nobody else want to do it. That's being grudging. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't even a question. And I'm just trying to give you a way of thinking about what hospitality is. It's making that sacrifice and opening yourself up to serve others. So he's saying, like, look, use hospitality one to another. So if I'm being hospitable to Dennis, and Dennis being hospitable to me one to another, then we should be good then. You see what this family of people, this network of people, we should be straight. There should be nothing we need for unless we all need it. Then we can all figure out how to go and get it. Because we've been looking out one for another. All right. Then it says, without grudging. Was that it? Yeah, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. So in your studies of the Bible, there will be a few chapters that you can say are like dedicated to a subject. For example, Matthew 24, that's like dedicated to the end time. Leviticus chapter 11, that's dietary law. Leviticus 23, those are your high days. Hebrews chapter 11 would be a chapter on faith. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is your chapter on charity. So you will come across these. I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 11. That's pretty much your head covering. Is it 1 Corinthians or second? First. Yeah. So these are some things you want to put into your mental Rolodex of memory, because these are the things, some of them you're going to use more often than others. Like when you're talking to people, you might Leviticus 23 them. You might Exodus 20 them. That's the 10 Commandments. You might Matthew 24. Now, this one here, though, is for you. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Let's pick him up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels.
So Paul had that he spoke, and notice something here on the subject or on the way, learning something on the way of learning something. He says, although I may speak with the tongues and of angels. So when we start talking about speaking in tongues, he said, although I speak with the tongues of men and of angels. So that means when we say I speak a tongue of men, that means a language that's understandable. And if I speak of a tongue of an angel, that would probably be a language that's not understandable. And, it's funny, too, because there are a few times in the scriptures where we actually see the tongue of an angel. For example, mine, I have to look at it, but when he said thy days are numbered or something, notice though, the Bible gives you the interpreter right behind it. Or Eli lama sabachthani. Or even when that little girl was I think she was dead, and the Lord brought her back to life, and he spoke some more weird stuff then. Those would be, to my understanding, a heavenly tongue. Or as he say, tongues of an angel. So that's it though. Ain't no, come on, whatever the heck they be doing. That's gibberish. That's what that is. Me and my mama was playing that game as kids, walking around the house speaking gibberish one to another. That just be fun too. So he said, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but what?
And have not charity.
Right. He's saying, but I might have. So what this shows us is you can receive gifts from God and still not be in proper proximity to your salvation. Perfect example, look at Judas. Judas went out there with them boys and was healing people. It wasn't like the disciples came back and then Judas came like, it didn't work for me. You know, right? Like it wasn't like that. He was with them, riding with them, healing people with them. Yet in all, his mind had some evil that he couldn't shake that cost him in the end. Again, his mind had some evil that he couldn't shake that cost him in the end. I repeat that because I want you to understand that there is evil in all of us. We were born into this world, sin was in us. You have to shake or cast down, as 2 Corinthians 10 says. I think that's 2 Corinthians 10. Casting down evil imaginations and bringing them into some subjection unto Christ or something. Like you got to get that stuff out of you before it becomes your ruin. Okay. So at any rate, he says, I might have these gifts, but if I don't have charity, what that mean? Go ahead.
I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal.
Yeah, like really, man. I'm. You can hear me. That's sounding brass and tinkling cymbal. You can hear me, but go ahead.
And although I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge,
go ahead.
And though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing.
Right. So he's showing you here. He's like, but if you might have all type of skills, you might get up here, kick the book, break it down to everybody to the smallest metric of a meter. And then at the same time, he said, but if you don't have love, it really doesn't matter. Go ahead, keep reading.
And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor.
Yeah, because see, sometimes we do things to be seen of men, or because it ain't really such a sacrifice. But he said, even though I'm giving my goods to the poor, all my goods, even. Go ahead.
And though I give my body to be burned and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing.
So now it's going to describe this charity. And these are the characteristics for those that underline or highlight in their Bible. This is where you want to make sure you get this one noted. Charity does what?
Charity suffereth long.
So now we're looking at the rules or the qualifications or the fruits of charity. It suffer long. It deal with stuff. It don't just snap and go off into a tangent. It suffers long. Whether you suffering because of something you inflicted upon yourself, or whether you're suffering because of somebody else's affliction, charity suffers long. Go ahead.
And is kind. Charity envieth not.
And so notice what it's saying. Charity is kind. Look, brothers, you have to learn kindness because, brothers, we walk around here with that mean mug and, what I'm saying? We taught that nice guys finish last and things of that nature. But the Bible is saying, the Lord is showing us that if we are going to display charity, we have to have kindness. So become gentle giants, as they like to call themselves. Go ahead.
Charity, and is kind. Charity envieth not. Yeah.
All right.
Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself and is puffed up.
Right. So it's not puffed up. Right. So charity, like basically, stay humble. Charity got a level of humility with it. Go ahead.
Doth not behave itself unseemingly. Seeketh not her own. Is not easily provoked. Thinketh no evil.
Look how it's telling you what charity is. And you ask yourself, is this me? Keep reading.
Rejoiceth not in iniquity. But rejoiceth in the truth.
Rejoices in the truth. I know that's right. Keep reading.
Beareth all things.
Notice when you have charity, you capable of bearing all things. You can deal with it. It might come, it's tough, but you will deal with it. Keep reading.
Believeth all things. Hopeth all things. Endureth all things.
Keep reading.
Charity never fails.
So notice what it says. Charity is the one that won't never fail. Keep reading.
But whether there be prophecies, they shall fail.
Right. And now when you say whether there should be prophecies, they should fail. Because some of the prophecies, they're done. Like that Genesis 49. Most of it is over with. So, but at some point it was still a prophecy to be fulfilled. You know, when you look in the scriptures and you look at Egypt and the prophecies made upon Egypt, they're done. You know what I mean? So prophecies, they'll fail. That's what it's showing you. Keep reading. Just like how I'll give you a perfect example. We go to Revelations, right? And we get to Revelation chapter 17, I believe it is, and it's saying that 5 kings are, one is yet to come, and another, one is fallen, another is yet to come, or something to that effect. We're talking about the European dynasty. Mm-hmm. But it says 5 kings are. Well, I'm gonna count you 6 now and show you one on the way. So then, in all honesty, it's 6 kings now. Prophecy should fail. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that it was never no good, but at some point we got to finish this. You know what I'm saying? So at some point we got to, all the stuff that's been written has to be done. Keep reading.
Whether there be tongues, they shall cease.
Right. Just like, and that, man, this is beautiful right here. It say, whether there be tongues, notice what he's saying. It shall cease. Like, meaning they might have used it then. We don't use it now, though. Why don't we use it? We don't need to. We all understand each other quite well. And furthermore, you go and learn a language if you want to speak Spanish. That's what you pretty much do. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, but you don't, it's not like it's not like some Asian dude walking in here and we about to start speaking tongues to him. Like that. The world just don't work like that. You know what I mean? So, and God has his book published in every language anyway. So we ain't speaking in tongues no more. Not right now. It shall cease, like it said. Keep going.
Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part.
That's good. Let's go to Matthew chapter 22 now. Matthew chapter 22. Matthew chapter 22. It's a blessing to be here with you guys and to know that we serving God together. That's what we're doing here. Matthew chapter 22, and let's pick this up at verse 34. I want to run the scripture by you to see what you understand. Okay. Matthew chapter 22, verse 34. Matthew chapter 22 and 34. Well, I love this one. I use this one this week. The girl trying to tell me that the law and the commandments is different. Like, seriously. Nah, yeah, man. This is to argue for like an hour and a half. I had to let me tell you something about that, though, just so you know. That you can't let every man be persuaded in their own mind. You can't change people's minds. Speaking of, y'all heard from Sean? No Sean today? No, is he okay? Okay. Well, y'all family here, so y'all make sure y'all give him a holler and make sure he all right. You were here last week?
I called him last week.
Y'all check on Jude. I mean, not Jude. Check on Orlando. Yeah. Check on him. Huh? I spoke to Orlando yesterday. He okay? Yeah. Okay. I know last week he told me he couldn't get a.
A lot of us spoke to Orlando. You on that band?
Orlando's father.
Oh, okay.
His father has coronavirus.
Okay. You said his father does?
Yeah.
No, his father does.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, make sure y'all keep Orlando's father in prayer, because he's sick with this little plague. See if the Lord had mercy on him. My godmother, she was sick this past week, but they sent her home. She doing better. She had the virus. So she old 79. You know what I mean? So that's at that at-risk age. So at any rate, so I was talking to this girl this week, and she trying to tell me the law and the commandments, they two different things, and the commandments is Exodus 20. So she like, show me in the commandments that we don't have to eat pork. And according to the commandments, she was saying in the that since we don't sacrifice anymore, then that means that some of the law has been done away, has been fulfilled. That was her word. Therefore, then the Lord can fulfill that law. But the commandment is still good. I was like, huh? Okay. I know, right? So at any rate, So I took her here. Matthew 22 and verse 34. I mean, I took her a lot of places, but no, I didn't take her a lot of places. I took her a couple places because she sure could talk. She wouldn't let me get a word in. I think I had to actually say, please, can I say something? Matthew 22, verse 34.
But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together.
That's like the Christians and the Muslims. The Pharisees would be like your modern day Christians, and the Sadducees would be more like your Muslims. So he was like, yo, when when the Pharisees saw he saw the Sadducees, watch what they did. Go ahead.
Then one of them, which was a lawyer
as in knowing the law. Go ahead.
Asked him a question, tempting him and saying,
yeah, they trying to see where he gonna go with this. So watch what they gonna ask him.
Master, which is the great commandment in the law?
So what's the great commandment in the law? Go ahead. Because all of it, like I'm trying to explain to this sister, everything that come out of the mouth of God is law. But so when it said, what is the great commandment in law? He's literally referring to the book as law. All right, go ahead.
Jesus said,
the old book, by the way, you know what I'm saying? Or really, probably more specifically, he's referring to the writings of Moses when he say in the law. But go ahead, keep reading.
Jesus said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind.
Rule number one, almost a given. You gotta love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul. I mean, that means you do what he say, right? There that's the first 40% of the 10 commandments. It's a display of you showing your love toward God. All right, go ahead.
This is the first and great commandment.
Right. And so when you see this, when it says this is the first and great commandment, it's showing you, because literally in the commandments, when it starts off, that's what he's telling you. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart. Go ahead.
And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Right. So he said, what is the great commandment in the law? He said, look, the first one is to love the Lord, and the second one is to love your neighbor. That's all there is to the Lord. When he's judging you, is did you show your love and respect toward me, and did you show charity towards your brother? That's how he's judging you. He's not going to sit there and be like, well, you was 20% on here, 30%. This ain't math class. So he says just two. And then what he say behind that?
On these two commandments hang all the law.
Right. So everything, that's what I was trying to show her. Like, look, on these two, all the law hang on. So it's how we gonna eliminate a piece of it? Unless we're gonna eliminate this. So he said, on these two hang all the law. But notice something in the commandments, in the 10 commandments per se, that the first 4 is showing you how you deal with the Lord. Don't have no graven images. Keep the Sabbath day. Don't use the Lord's name in vain. What's the other one, Dennis? For the first 4.
Oh, first 4?
Yeah.
Keep Sabbath days.
Yeah.
Honor thy mother, thy father.
Nah.
No idols.
That's number 5.
Right. That's number 5.
So have no idols.
Have no idols.
Bow down to him. Remember the
to
Sabbath day. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. All right. Then you get to number 5. And the first commandment that the Lord give you promise with is the first neighbor you deal with. Really, it's the first one. It's your parents. You'll honor your mother and your father. Because if you can't get that one right, ain't no way you're going to get out here in the world and get this one right on how to love your neighbor. And that's what the rest of the commandments are. All right. And everything else that you read inside the laws, Leviticus, like the dietary law, that's a display on how you love the Lord. Keeping the Sabbath, the feast days, that goes back to loving the Lord. That goes back to the Sabbath day. Not setting up a stumbling block before the blind. On the physical level, that's showing, how you love your neighbor. And not committing adultery. Well, that's in the 10. Okay, so not being homosexual, that's also a part of adultery. Okay, so at any rate, on these two hang all the law and the prophets. Proverbs chapter 10. Luke chapter 10.
Did she come to that understanding?
No, not yet. Not yet. She hopefully probably our age. maybe slightly older, but she her fiance or whatever, he been coming to the class a couple of times. So hopefully, she'll be in the book, man. That's what matters.
Did she mean like because the dietary law is not next to the Ten Commandments in Exodus? Maybe that's what she meant.
That is kind of what she meant. And that
like because
the command, and to her mind, the commandments were the 10.
Yeah,
and then everything else is the laws, and some of the law has been done away with because the sacrifice law has been done away with. So I had to explain to her that the sacrifice law is not done away with. I said you could sacrifice if number one we had priests to do so, but I said, but why would we want to when we have our sacrifice, Jesus? So it's not done away with. It served its purpose. And now I say because later, because her basis was, well, y'all don't sacrifice no more. So some of the law done away with. And I'm like, where? I'm like, why do you keep saying this done? Have you ever read that anywhere in the Bible that the law is done away with? Then she took me to in Romans where it says Christ is the end of the law. But she tried to reword it. I said, look, Christ is the end of the law, like your signature is the end of a contract. Like at the end of the law, there's death, and Jesus was the ultimate death instead of you. That's how Christ is the end of the law. Not like he ended it, because she was rephrasing it like Christ ended the law. See, she was saying Christ is the end of the law. She would read it, then she was like, see, Christ, it just said Christ ended the law. I said, no. I said, again, I tried to get her to understand. I said, again, what's at the end of the contract? Your name. Does that mean the contract is over? No, it means actually now the contract is good. It is now valid. But at the end of it is your name. And I said, that's the same way Christ is the end of the law. Instead of those lambs and those bloods of bulls and goats, you got the blood of Jesus. It's just that simple. But again, but this woman is in the book, and that's all that matters. And like I told her, like I would tell many people, take it to the Lord. Lord gonna show. I'm not gonna make you see it my way. So at any rate, Luke chapter 10, let's pick this up at verse 25. Luke 10 and 25. And when you get there, go ahead and read it.
And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?
All right, so this is what we want. Like when it's all said and done, we are going to die. We're going to continue to age. And on this place, if the Lord don't come back first, you ain't going to see 105. I don't know. Maybe somebody in here lucky and they can hit that 100. But you ain't going to see 105, 110 unless the Lord come back first. All right. So you're going to die. So then the reality is he said, Master, what shall I do to get eternal life? We need to know this. Go ahead.
He said unto him, what is written in the law? How readest thou?
Right. He's like, what do you read in the law? What do you see in the law? Or the commandments, either way you want to look at it. But what do you see there? Go ahead, verse 27.
And he said, answering said,
oh, but hold on. But I did take her to Psalms 119, and I left her with a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say that much. But I left her with a lot, but I'm the kind of person that if we're going to argue, I'm going to go back to 1 or 2 points and forget all the rest of the stuff that we talked about. Hold on to this one, hold on to that one, and then build off of that. Well, what I went to Psalms 119 was to show her that the law and the commandments and the truth and the word and the righteousness, they are all the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I took her back into Psalms 19. Psalms 19 will show you that in about 5 different verses. It'll show you that they're all the same thing. And so when we did that, she was a little shook, but it don't take long for the devil to get back in your head and try to convince you, because her auntie kept saying, that's what she kept saying. Well, my auntie is saying, I almost wanted to be like, who the heck is your auntie? I don't care about who she is, what she say, but again, people hold who they hold in high respect, and a man offended is harder to be won in a cheap city. So you be careful when you out here dealing with people in the gospel and how you offending them or offending their pastor. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're really trying to gain somebody, offending them ain't gonna really work. So you need to have to be, like Jesus said, wise as serpents, harmless as doves. So you still got to find a nice way to say your pastor is a liar. But, you know, at the same time, do you just got to call him a liar, or can we just leave that alone? Let's just get back to the book. It's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. So anyway, back to the lesson. Luke 10, and he said, what is written in the law, verse 26, how readest thou? And he answered saying what?
And he answering said, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself.
So again, we're seeing that they're on the same level. The first 4 is equal to the last 6. It's not like you showing your love toward God by not eating pork or keeping the Sabbath days or some of the things that we do, that it holds a level of precedent over how you treat your neighbor. So what I'm getting at is you can perfect the skill of being different from society and serving God, you know, with this religion. But if you cannot perfect the skill of showing love towards your neighbor, then you at 50%, and that ain't passing. Keep reading.
And he said unto him, thou hast answered right. This do, and thou shalt live.
Go ahead.
But he, willing to justify himself, said unto Jesus, and who is my neighbor?
Oh, I love it. So he tried to justify, so who's my neighbor? Because he's saying, well, you gotta love your neighbor as yourself. So who's my neighbor? That's a good question. So watch this story. Go ahead.
And Jesus answering said, a certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment and wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead.
Go ahead.
And by chance there came down a certain priest that way. And when he saw him, he passed by on the other side.
So it says a certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho. So we're going to assume that he lived in Jerusalem. He was an Israelite. And it said that this man fell among thieves and they took everything he had. And when the priest walked by, the head of the church walked by, sure, I guess he was a little too busy. That's how the cartoon played. Like he had something else to do. So he had to go ahead and walk past him. Go ahead, keep reading.
And likewise, a Levite.
So now you got to even see, these are the chosen of the chosen, the priest and the Levite. They are supposed to shine the light. They're supposed to make the greatest example. The question that we're about to answer is, who is my neighbor? All right. So you had, you know, this man from Jerusalem. Then you got his priest. And when I say his priest, a priest. And you got a Levite. Go ahead.
And likewise, a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him and passed by on the other side.
Go ahead.
But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed.
A Samaritan ain't even an Israelite. A Samaritan was that sister who said,
our Father.
Don't the dogs eat off the master's table? Wasn't she a Samaritan?
No, the one that said
our Father's worship.
Yeah, I know that. But I'm talking about the girl who said, don't the dog eat off the master's table? Wasn't she a Samaritan?
Yeah.
She wasn't?
She wasn't a Jew.
She's a Samaritan. She's not a Jew. She thought she was a Jew because their father worshipped.
Oh, we might have to go look at that. I want to see what she was. But I'll figure that out too.
But you're right.
But the moral of the story is, this ain't no Israelite.
Right.
This Samaritan ain't no Israelite. And with that being said, with this Samaritan not being an Israelite, you got 2 Israelites done passes. Remember the question we're answering is, who is my neighbor? All right. Go ahead, keep reading. Okay, thank you. Yep, you're right. She was. Thank you. Go ahead, keep reading.
So, but a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was. And when he saw him, he had compassion on him.
So now this Samaritan come by and he got compassion on this man from Jerusalem, where the Levite and the priest
and wine, and set him on his own beast and brought him to an inn.
And you got to understand, Jesus is the excellent teacher. Because remember, he started this off by saying, love your neighbor as yourself. So my man come back, who's my neighbor? So he's giving you a story, but he's breaking down it all. He's not just breaking down who is my neighbor. Go ahead, keep reading.
And on the morrow, when he departed, he took out 2 pence and gave them to the host, and said unto him, take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee.
Now this man had been robbed, and some stranger picks him up, takes him to, we'll just say, the local hospital, and put his bill on. Now I want you to understand, he just been robbed, so he ain't got no money. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's not like though he had to ask. You know, we in that business where, you know, they ain't ask. Like, well, you know, he ain't worked in 4 months, or he ain't worked since the coronavirus thing went down. You know what I'm saying? Because he got one of them type of jobs. So why should he have to ask? He trying to make do like you trying to make do. But you got a little more than him. Just notice how the story is playing. Go ahead.
Which now of these 3 thinkest thou was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves?
Right. So, like, that's the question. Like, so which one of these dudes was the neighbor? Was it the priest? Was it the Levite? These people, these is his kinsmen. Like, nah, it was the one that, like it say in Proverbs, he that has a friend must first show himself friendly. All right. Let's go on over here to Proverbs chapter 10 now. Proverbs, 37. And he said, he that showed mercy on him, then said Jesus unto him, go and do thou likewise. That was the rest of that. So a couple of things there. Remember, we talked earlier about blessed are the merciful, so they shall obtain mercy. So they was like, yo, the Samaritan showed mercy upon him. That was the neighbor. You know what I mean? And he's saying, well, for you to go out and be that Samaritan. So it doesn't matter if this person was somebody in the word, or if this person was a flesh and blood family member, or whether this person was just an Israelite. None of that mattered. Like, he's saying, look, this person could be the white guy on the corner. He's saying, go and do just like that Samaritan did. Okay, that Samaritan left the table to where it don't race doesn't matter. That's the part of that story there. That you love your neighbor regardless. Treat them like you want to be treated. Proverbs chapter 10. Proverbs chapter 10. You know, these one of them key lessons to me. Because as much as we can go deep, and most times I try not to get too deep, but you know, I know sometimes it comes with the territory. And also, I try to keep the brothers on the simple level. So that means I gotta go deep. When I say I try to keep them on the simple level with teaching, because you know, I learned in teaching years ago. I did a lesson. I thought it was so dope too. Like, you know, I mean, it was the first time teaching it. I had everything lined up right. I knew what I was talking about. Had all the history stuff. I mean, like, man, if we was in theology school, man, I got 100+ something. But we weren't in theology school. We was at church. And I do this. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to go around and ask people, you know, to get something from the lesson. Because as a teacher, you want to know. Because you want to know, am I doing my job? So I go to this one sister, and guess what her response was? Well, I know this is what I got from today's lesson. That if I have any questions about the coming of the Lord, I can ask you, because you know it. And I was like, no, that's not what you're supposed to get from me. You were supposed to get something, but what you got was, I'm smarter than you. And so I try to keep the brothers simple so that everybody in the room, from the children to the adults, can catch it. We do Bible study. You know what I'm saying? If you want to get deep, we got phones. You know what I mean? But I look at something like this as far more important than the last 3 battles, which was what I was thinking about teaching. You know what I'm saying? Which, you know, that class is deep. What's wrong? What the hell happened? The last 3 battles, y'all ain't never heard that lesson?
I seen the Philly version.
You see the Philly version?
Couple versions of it.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm just saying, or, you know, any other deep classes that I thought to teach. Because I always think that way. I go look at the list to see what the brothers been doing here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, well, you know, they ain't heard this in a minute. They ain't heard because, you know, we want to. But the thing about it is, you could know the abomination of desolation forward and backward. And you could be in the hot spot in the lake of fire because you ain't got no love. And so these are the things that are far. These is what he read in the opening scripture, the weightier matters of the law. Proverbs 10 and 12. When you get there, go ahead.
Hatred stirreth up strifes, but love covereth all sins.
So, and those statements are separate. Hatred stirreth up strife. Like when there's hatred, it's going to be strife. On the flip side, love covers up sins, covers up yours and somebody else. Like if I got love for Dennis and Dennis done did something wrong and he come to me, it's going to be like, bruh, it ain't no pressure, man. Love covers, it works all type of ways. The statement is an absolute statement. Love cover my sins. Love cover his sins. You can show love, cover a multitude of sins. Love is a very powerful piece. Like I said, we have the cheat code to life, y'all, because the world ain't showing you this. All right, maybe a song every now and again. Leviticus chapter 19 now. Leviticus chapter 19. In today's class, salvation comes with love and contentment. We're going to get on that contentment part. That's another one that is big in our world. Like I was watching, was Stu Jackson or somebody, maybe one of the ball players, and they was talking about what was their first? Nah, I know who it was. It was Isaiah Thomas. They was asking him what was his first purchase. You know, like when he got his NBA check, what his first purchase was, ridiculous purchase. You know, something that just really was just what'd you say, a car? He went and got him a whole bunch of gators, shoes. Yeah, and you know why though? It was because growing up he had nothing. He had to wear his sister's shoes. He had to wear, you know, because his brothers was too big for him. He had to wear his sister's clothes, stuff of that nature. It's Isaiah Thomas, the old school Isaiah, the one album, yeah, Detroit Pistons, yeah. But the point, yeah, because the young guys there, they live like that, yeah. But the point that I'm getting at and making that statement is that we are programmed to want and not be content. Now, I watched a video yesterday of some little African girl doing, you know, dancing. She was getting it too. But that wasn't what I noticed in the video. What I noticed was all the people that was around her, boys and girls. And guess what they all had on their feet? Shoes. They all had on them white sandals. You know the white little sandals we buy our little girls? Like the little white with the little vents, like you know they not the open toe, but they got the strap up behind the ankle. But they got like little white sandals, the cheap Walmart sandals. That's what they are. So, but the point is, we ideally here in America, them girl shoes. Don't nobody buy their little boys that. But over there, they shoes. And what we're talking about is being content. That's what we're gonna get. We're gonna move toward that in a little bit. But when I saw it, I was like, well, I guess we wouldn't be clowning them if we all had them on. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like they just happy. Meanwhile, the little girl ain't got no shoes on who dancing. Right, yeah. They just happy they got shoes on. It almost looked like a part of the uniform, as if some outsiders had donated, donated some stuff because they always had on the same outfit, and like they might have been in school or something like that, but they ain't look like a world of richness. It looked impoverished. But what I did see was contentment, because while they all had on these shoes, while my kids wear Nikes and all this kind of stuff, they was out there having a great time watching the girl dance. So I'm just saying that in our society, we are contrary, like Isaiah. He's like, I ain't never had it. So when I became an adult, and I was with him too. Like I saw that before I saw the African video. I was with him when I saw, like, yeah, I feel you, bro. Like when it got these some Gators, when it got when it got in my world, we're gonna give me some J's. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of avenue, I feel you, because I ain't had that when I was a kid. On the flip side, though, when I saw the next day, I'm like, but you did have shoes, though. Yeah. Always had shoes. Never been without shoes. Sometimes 2-3 pair of shoes. So we have to learn contentment. These are, and the world programs us differently, but we're going to get on that in a little bit. Leviticus chapter 19, let's pick it up in verse 11. We still dealing with this love. And now we're showing this love in the commandments. All right, go ahead.
Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely.
See, this would let me know that young lady don't be reading the book. Because she's trying to, and hour and a half, you should be surprised how much you can't say when somebody else is dominating the conversation. And funny thing about me is, especially with women, if a woman gonna dominate the conversation, you got it. Because if I start talking, you don't want to hear me no way. It's obvious you want to talk. Ask me a question, and when I answer before I'm done, you start back talking. I'm like, what the heck? Can I at least answer the question? So at Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 11, it says, ye should not steal. Well, that's in the 10 commandments, right? But it's also right here, though. So while you trying to say that the law and the commandments is something different, notice where it is, and then notice what else is here. Because this is the same place where you find the dietary law in Leviticus. But keep reading, though, bro.
Neither lie one to another. And ye shall not swear by my name falsely.
Right.
Neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God.
Right. So don't be putting God in it, like on God, this, that, and the other, and you lying. Don't swear by his name falsely. Keep reading.
I am the Lord.
Yes, sir.
Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning.
What's the world was like that? Keep reading.
Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind.
Man, every time I go past this one, I always have to think about how I used to do that. Like you would think in your mind, who gonna curse the deaf? I'm telling you, my great grandmother couldn't hear. She wasn't like completely, but it was pretty much gone. And me and my cousins, man, we used to sit there and clown on her. Right? We thought it was cute. We was little kids. We thought it was real cute that we could sit there and be talking about her, or that we could be like saying something and she can't figure out what you said, so she thinking something else. Doing stuff like that. Like that was really evil, though. Now we, like I said, we was mischievous kids. But every time I read that, I just be like, dang. Like, yeah, but then I'll be thinking about the fact that I did this. You know what I'm saying? Like, because right now, as adults, like, really, who gonna curse like, who gonna dog out somebody who can't hear? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like you gonna have a level of compassion or put a stumbling block before the blind. But I'm just saying, I consciously did it knowing that I knew I wasn't supposed to be dogging my great grandma like that. That was wrong. But I mean, like I say, every time I walk past it, it's just like a self-evaluation on me. But go ahead, keep reading.
Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind.
Or what should you do?
But shall fear thy God. I am the Lord.
Keep reading.
Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor.
Yeah, so he said, be fair. Don't put the blinders on when you judge in the matter. Keep reading. That's why the Bible tells you gift perverts judgment. Because somebody who got money, they can buy you off. And you with it. All right, keep reading.
Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people.
So here in the law or commandments, whatever you want to call it, we saw that you're not supposed to steal on the same level as don't be a respect of person, or on the same level as thou should not go up as a talebearer among thy people. And when you're a talebearer, you causing problems among, you putting everybody's business out there, whether you being truthful or not. You know what I'm saying? You just in them, you talking too much, but it's affecting others. All right. So he's saying, don't be no talebearer amongst the Lord's people. That's how you deal with your neighbor. Go ahead.
Neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart.
Uh-huh.
Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him.
So he say, well, don't hate your brother in your heart, but what you're supposed to do is rebuke them. So if you got an issue with somebody, you don't hate them, you bring them that issue and get that, because obviously it need to be something on the level of sin. If it ain't a level of sin, then maybe the problem is you. Keep reading.
Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people.
What you supposed to do?
But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord.
Man, so the Lord wouldn't have found out when it said, this is the greatest commandment. On these two, hang them all. That's kind of deep, because the book, it's a lot of commandments in here. But he went and snatched that one and said, love the Lord, and these are the two greatest commandments. Let's go over here to Matthew chapter 18 now. Matthew chapter 18. Matthew 18. Let's pick it up at verse 15. Yeah, man. I sat there and argued with somebody last night about, because see, the thing is funny too. State by state, this whole corona thing is being propaganded in its own way. You know, the governor of Texas said we ain't shutting down nothing. Right. And I understood him too, though, Mr. Lone Star State. I understood him because he like, man, my state huge. And we got like a whole bunch of space around here. Why am I shutting down my state? You know, and I'm sure Houston and Dallas and San Antonio is probably on, you know, some types of precautionary restrictions, I'm sure. But state to state, everybody governs their own state. They ain't bring National Guards ain't in New York, is it? They ain't patrolling. That's what I thought. So this is still all state stuff. Okay. So I'm talking to somebody who live in another state. And in their state, they done went bananas with it. You know what I'm saying? Like and I'm like, well, we right next to New York and we running down statistics, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, we ain't really tripping like that. Like everybody we see got on masks and gloves. I'm like, we don't. I mean, I was like, I just went to Home Depot. You went to Home Depot? I ain't been out in 4 days. I was like, yeah, I need to get some more stuff for the house. I got some work to do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they got toilet paper at Home Depot.
They sure do. And water. And they got water. I bought a big boy of water too.
Get that up.
Yeah, look here. But they really do got toilet paper at Home Depot, amongst other things.
Yeah.
So, you know, the point I'm getting at is, and this is off the subject again, but so we was talking about that's off the subject.
Yeah.
But the point I'm getting at is that
Lowe's too.
You need to have your butt at church today.
Yes, sir.
Like this is a test, and I'm telling the person I'm talking to, they trying to say, well, but God causes us to be wise. I'm like, man, the Lord said keep the commandments. Obedience is better than sacrifice. I hear you. My man was wise when he touched the Ark of the Covenant. Y'all remember that? When it was falling, he touched the Ark of the Covenant. Y'all remember that story? Uzzah. Let me tell you what happened in that story. So they carried the Ark of the Covenant for David. And, you know, the Ark of the Covenant is gold, it's precious, and it's about to fall. So my man does what he think is right? And goes to go grab it because who wants the Ark of the Covenant to fall? And the Lord kept him on the spot. The Lord said, I need obedience, not sacrifice. So therefore, in the midst of your obedience, don't get clogged up with the propaganda of the world where they trying to tell you, because what they telling you don't go to church. That's what they telling you. We got a virus out. By the way, we put it out there. And yeah, they did. I mean, look. I understand cancer. Yeah, that comes straight from God. It might come from your diet or whatever. You know, it might come from radiation or whatever. But some people get it, some people don't. But when you start talking about something that came from some bat or some monkey or some junk like that, that came from man. Man made this, and so man done made a virus, and then man done told you stay home on Saturday, and you gonna do it. I'm just like, man, it's gonna scare me. I'm not gonna want to be around you when we get closer to this great tribulation because you ain't doing it. You ain't doing it now. You won't do it later. You know what I'm saying? You can't be faithful of the small. You ain't gonna. The Lord can't give you nothing later, and that's why I'm so happy to see y'all in a nice number too. There's a couple of heads not here. I understand that, but in the nice number, because like I also said, well, you know, everybody got to work out. No, what they said to me is everybody got to work out their own salvation. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But the Lord still gonna judge you based off of how you kept the commandments or not. And if you saying it's a lion in the street, I can't do it, he might be looking like, well, you should have got bit by that lion then. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so you go to church and you get the virus. And maybe you get sick for 2 weeks.
Oh, you die. So what?
Or maybe you're right though. But he's right though. Or maybe you die.
It's true.
Like, but don't you know that God just seen all of that?
I'm going out serving the Lord. Man.
Exactly. That just because it was on the conversation I had at 2 a.m. last night. It's still, but it was still because I'm talking to somebody who I hold in high regards, and they like, y'all going to church?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean we going to church?
See, all the fake churches are closed.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? Even some of them like, nah, we going, and they doing stuff like pulling up their cars and being in the parking lot while they watching or listening to the but I commend that though. You know what I'm saying? Because what you saying is y'all can tell me what you want, but I'm gonna continue to serve God. To whatever, like I'm gonna do it all as thorough as I can, and I have to respect that. So at any rate, back to the book. Matthew chapter 18. Let's pick it up at verse 15. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass.
So let's go with that Leviticus when it says, don't hate your brother, but we want to make sure that you rebuke them and not suffer sin upon them. So it says, moreover, if thy brother trespass against thee, do what?
Go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother.
Go ahead.
But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established.
All right, so notice he says here, so me and Iffy, I got a problem with Iffy. All right. So I bring it to Iffy. Now, if Iffy, we can level it out, get it squared off, then I'm gonna gain, Iffy might, my bad, I ain't know. I'm cool, bro. I never did whatever, or I didn't know that this was, however the case go down. All right. But now let's say if he disagree. So now I gotta bring brother Jeter, right? And so when I bring him, I can't see. That's why I like to do this to the people. I can't tell him what the problem is. Instead, I gotta bring him as a witness to witness me and Iffy again, not bring him so he can come in and start talking to Iffy too. Right. No, as a witness to it. So let me tell you how I be doing people when they call me. They be calling me. This happened like last weekend. It was like a brother called me. He was like, hey, man, I need you to be a witness to something. I said, what happened? So they started telling me. I was like, oh, well, I can't be no witness. I was like, you might want to call Elijah. Because I did Elijah call me. I told him what happened. He was like, yeah, you got slick on that because I ain't want to deal with they mess either. But I'm saying, I'll do you like that in a minute. Like, so what happened now? You know what I'm saying? And when you start talking, like, well, I can't really be no witness. I mean, you already gave me your side of the story. But that's how it's going. He said, but if he would not hear thee, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word may be established. So what we're establishing is that, okay, I'm bringing Jude and Jeter to Iffy, not to beat up Iffy, but to hear us out so that this matter can be established that, hey, look, couple, and they can have an opinion. They ain't like they got to shut up because they might say, Jeter might be like, lady, you wrong, bro. You know what I'm saying? And now it's like, hey, look, they leveling with me like, nah, you taking this overboard or whatever the case is. Verse 17, though.
And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as a heathen man and a publican.
Right. So he like, look, and so if they still, if he still don't want to deal with it, we still got an issue or whatever, then we bring it to the church. We let the church hear the matter. And most of the time, it don't go to this. To be honest with you, But now the church hears the matter, and they like, look, the decision on them. You know, we can't mess with you until you get that situation straight, or whatever the case may be, right? Go ahead, verse 18.
Verily I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven.
And so the Lord gonna look at that decision that you guys make and be upholding that same decision. Keep reading.
And whatsoever ye shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven.
Keep reading.
Again, I say unto you, that if two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven.
Right. So this don't mean nothing about no Sabbath. You know, people trying to use this for 2 or 3 are gathered in my name. I'm there. That ain't what that was talking about. This was talking about doggone having talks with people and getting situations handled, and how the Lord. So what the Lord is saying, with 2 or 3, with Jude and Jeter there with me, then hey, everything should be good. Like I don't have to be there. Like you got 2 brothers. Then you got the church, like the matter should be able to be established. That's what he said. I'm there. That's what he's saying. So then he says, and again, I say that if two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it should be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. Verse 20.
For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them.
Right. And again, no. We ain't even talking about the Sabbath yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, because people be trying to take that and be like, see, where it's 2 or more. I'm like, man, that ain't got nothing. You misusing that scripture. That's all. It's not to say that where 2 or more are gathered, that the Lord ain't there. You just trying to use that scripture for a benefit when that's not what the scripture is about. It's about when you got 2 or more together and y'all making a decision in the name of the Lord. So at any rate, let's move over to Galatians chapter 6. Galatians chapter 6. We almost done, believe it or not. Even though I got here late. You funny, baby. Even though I got here late, I want to make sure we have some time for some Q&A.
Oh, yes, sir.
Galatians chapter 6. Galatians chapter 6. Galatians chapter 6. And we're going to pick this up at verse 1. Galatians 6 and 1. And when you get there, go ahead and read. Go ahead.
Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted.
So notice what he's saying, like, you're supposed to be spiritual. You're supposed to be godly. He like, look, if somebody overtaken in the fault, they doing something wrong, then come restore them with meekness, though. Don't be ready to tear their head off, because that's how we are. A lot of times, we're ready to go in, getting a piece of my mind, as we like to say. Verse 2.
Yes, sir.
Bear ye one another's burdens.
So notice what else is saying, and we still looking at the love part that comes with this salvation. We're going to bear ye one another's burden. And sometimes your burden is your brain and how you function. And I'm going to bear that burden with you. Go ahead, keep reading.
And so fulfill the law of Christ.
And so notice what it's saying. When you can restore somebody in a level of meekness, and you can bear that burden with somebody else, you know what I'm saying? You could be that shoulder to lean on, whatever the case may be. He's saying that is you fulfilling the law of Christ. Go ahead.
For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself.
Right, because even though I got a problem with something if he done did, like I ain't no better or greater than he is, though. When God see me and when God see him, he just see 2 men he created. That's it. Not putting us, since if he wrong and I'm right, then God looking at me like I'm better. So therefore, he's saying, but let every man, for if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceives himself. Keep reading.
But let every man prove his own work,
Uh-huh.
and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another.
Go ahead.
For every man shall bear his own burden.
Right, because everybody still got to bear their own burden, though. Even though you're going to help somebody else bear their burden, everybody got to still. So what does that mean? It's kind of like, look, you know, Dennis done messed up. I don't know.
Yeah, I do that.
He messed up and beat up his wife. So for me to come at him, remember, he got to bear that burden too, though. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, he feels, you know, like, it's kind of like, man, don't beat me up too bad, man. I feel bad enough as it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what he's telling you. He said, for every man should bear his own burden. You know what I'm saying? Like, anything that somebody do, you know, if they supposed to be trying to serve God, they're gonna have a level of feeling bad about it. That's why he's telling you, you bear some of that burden. So don't be so quick. Like, bro, Dennis, you tripping, bro. Like maybe if Dennis is still arguing about it, like, bro, you tripping. But if he be like, man, I know I messed up. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, that was stupid, Dennis. I don't know what you was thinking. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not gonna run this one in the ground. That's what he's telling you there. All right. So now let's move over to Hebrews chapter 13. Hebrews chapter 13. When the boy down to it, you just got to understand you ain't no better than the next, man. You know what I'm saying? Just because somebody's stuff done fell out their closet and you got a lock on your closet, don't mean that you ain't got no problems in there. You know, just because somebody can't hold their information in their brain so it comes out, don't mean your brain any cleaner. Because if we could read minds around here, we probably wouldn't even be in here with each other right now. You see what I'm saying? Like, if that's how I really, because people brain be going on some more weird stuff, and you be like, well, not mine. Okay, say that if you want to. The devil be out here playing these games. Hebrews chapter 13. Today, since we've been in here. Why you don't slap your daughters like that, man? Hebrews chapter 13. Let's pick it up at verse 5.
Let your conversation be without covetousness. And be content with such things as ye have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee.
All right, so now we taking it to the next level. We need to learn contentment. That's what he's saying. Like, let your conversations, let your actions don't be with covetousness, but learn some contentment.
Is this a chapter with the heading? One of the ones like charity?
No. Verse 6.
So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper.
So notice what he taught. Notice when we start discussing contentment, it's saying that when you have the mentality to be able to say, the Lord is my helper, that's the level of contentment you want to be at. Like, basically, like, the Lord got me. That's the gauge for your contentment. So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. What else?
And I will not fear what man shall do unto me.
Right. Saying we're not going to fear what man going to do. Let's go over to 1 Timothy chapter 6 now. 1 Timothy chapter 6. And that be the thing, man. We be too worried about man, what they think and what they own. You know what I'm saying? And man, we got to learn how to fear God, put your faith in God, and not worry about what other individuals think or say. Like I say, just like us coming here, it's some people out there think we tripping because we here today. I'm sure the lady at the front desk probably think we tripping. They're like, they here again? Like, I don't care about them. You know, it's supposed to give me 6 feet and what's all the other rules.
When I came in, she said, aren't you supposed to be social distancing? I said, no, it's in our contract that we're supposed to be here.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I waved at the lady. She looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, okay, I guess we're not having a good day. Right. She don't want to be at work.
She mad she here.
Yeah, exactly. 1 Timothy chapter 6, and let's pick this up at verse 6. Yeah, well, she should be. But some people getting paid at home, so she probably want to be there. 1 Timothy chapter 6, and let's pick it up at verse 6.
But godliness with contentment is great gain.
So make that your gain. Godliness. The fact that you are obtaining salvation, that you are obtaining keys to open up the door to be able to get the fountain of life. He's saying, like, look, that's where your contentment needs to be. Go ahead, keep reading. Did you finish 6?
Yeah.
Go to verse 8.
And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content.
Man, he didn't even say shelter. He said with food and raiment. You know why he didn't say shelter? Because if I ain't got no place to stay, I'm staying at dinner. I'm going to stand on dinner sofa.
Yes, sir.
Because that's what Jesus was on. Jesus said, I ain't got no place to sleep. Why are you trying to follow me? So that it ain't about like you might think, well, I need to make sure I got a roof over my head. That ain't what this just said. Now I'm not saying brothers, you tell your wife, baby, you got some clothes on and you ate. Leave right. But at the same time, that's the mentality of thinking that as long as you fed and as long as you got something to put on, then you should be content. Everything else is just a blessing from the Lord.
Extra.
Yeah, it's really your house, your living, your cars. The trip you took, just a blessing from the Lord. You know what I mean? But your level of contentment needs to be. See, contentment, it's a mentality. It's a way of thinking. You know what I'm saying? Just like faith, it's a way of thinking. We like, well, faith without work is dead. No, if you have faith, I'm going to see it. That is the work. If you are content, then I'm going to see it as well. All right. Did we read all of 8?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's go on over here to Numbers chapter 11.
The ability to put your feet on me at night is a blessing of the Lord.
Numbers chapter 11. Numbers chapter 11. You're right, bro. Numbers chapter 11. We're going to pick this up at verse 1. And this one here, it's about complaining, man. One thing we do is we complain. We ain't never satisfied. Like, I just look back at my life, growing up as a kid, watching my mom achieve better, as we say. But it was never a level of satisfaction to it. It was like, even to the point where, as I became older, she wasn't there trying to go get it. As opposed to, and single mom, you know how that goes. But, when I look at the proper way to raise children, you got to give them children some time. Not at the sacrifice of making money either. Like I look at my mother-in-law, and my mother-in-law is when I met her, she had just moved into Bankhead Court Projects. So my mother-in-law went from Capitol Homes Projects to Bankhead Projects. All right. So these are projects in Atlanta.
It better.
And no, need both of them bad. And Bankhead's a project so bad that my wife's dad came over there one day. He a painter. He was there 5 minutes and all his ladders was gone. Yeah, real ladders. Like, how you gonna steal ladders off the top of the bed that's strapped down in 5 minutes? But that's Bankhead. So at any point, anyway, and she had 7 kids, 4 boys, 3 girls, and she didn't work until maybe the last one was grown. Like she did work after that. But the whole time when I met her, she was never working. She was taking care of those kids, taking care of the boys. And by this time, my wife was grown. Her sisters was in college or whatever. But here's the point that I'm getting at in all that. All 7 of them, they ain't been to jail. They all went to school or got some trade. They all doing pretty good. And so my point in saying that is society say for you to get out here and go get it. She learned to be content and raise her kids. Where Travis got shot outside the front door. That's for real. They were shooting dice. He got shot, but none of her sons did. And, Mike riding around drunk. None of your sons are. Like you maintain to keep them against all odds, and none of them get locked up. So it's kind of like all your actions got consequences to it. So when you can't learn a level of contentment, you go out here and you sacrifice something else that may very well be detrimental. So at any rate, Israel, what we do is we complain. And we'll look at this story and see how God look at that complaining. Numbers 11:1. When you get there, go ahead.
And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burnt among them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And the people cried unto Moses, and when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire was quenched. And he called to the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burnt among them.
Keep reading.
And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat?
You gotta understand what's going on. These people just came up out of Egypt. So that's like being in America. And now they in no man's land. You can say that. Like, yeah, now but the Lord providing for them, but it ain't Steak and Shake. It ain't, it ain't Arby's. It's plants. You know what I'm saying? It's you know what I'm saying? We juices and berries, some bread, right? You know what I'm saying? Like that's good. We eating bread. We not, but at the same time though, we done left America. We free. And we had hard bondage over there. It shouldn't be nothing. If we ain't got nothing, but we free, it shouldn't be nothing we out here complaining about. So the Lord pissed. By the way, they shoes wasn't getting old, their clothes weren't, you know what I mean? Like the Lord was taking care of them. So he pissed because they complained. And I'm using those choice those words because I don't want the Lord getting pissed at you because you complain. Like, the Lord done provided for you thus far. And that's what you got to understand. People be quick to say it too. Man, the Lord done blessed me with this job. And then 6, 7, 8 months later, or 8 years later, man, I go out here and I work my butt off. Like you forget the Lord blessed you with this job. You act like you did this. That you put all this work in to be the assistant manager now. So at any rate, the Lord trying to get us to stop complaining, be content. So go ahead, keep reading, verse 4.
I'm at 5.
Oh, 5, sorry.
We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers.
Well, we had already read it. So it said, in the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, who should give us flesh to eat? We remembered the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely. Notice how I said freely, and they all wasn't even free. Go ahead.
The cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There's nothing at all besides this manna before our eyes.
And your freedom. I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? Keep going. And y'all on y'all way to, like, I can see why the Lord had to kill all these, because y'all didn't know how to act. Got out there, I'm saying y'all, because I went there. We got out there in that wilderness, and we was nutting up.
The mixed multitude, right? They was the ones who kind of was complaining, and Israel went along with them, sounds like. Right?
Well, I mean, and the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again, like all of us was doing it. It wasn't just them. We was part of the mixed multitude. Everybody was out there. Everybody that left out of Egypt. Just like if we left out of Egypt, just like we leave out of here, when we leave, that's a mixed multitude. Yeah. It's Israel and anybody else who come along with us. We just a mixed multitude. I'm gonna give you a perfect example.
But what is mixed multitude black people? Like I know I'm sure the Ethiopians with some Ethiopians.
No, we can't say for sure. Because a slave is a slave. And if it's one white person, then it's one white person.
One white person in Egypt back then?
Oh, it could have been. Why not? Egypt was the world power. Yeah. Gentiles didn't just exist. White people didn't just start existing. They was here from the 3 sons. Yes, the Egyptians, the Arabs get the slaves and bring them to Egypt. The Arabs ain't discriminating. They just want money. So no, I don't think it was just. I don't think the slave class is just
to be slave in that country and be dealing with that son. They ain't gonna just bring white people out there for that.
Oh man, look here, man. It's gonna be some Mexicans there. It's gonna be some whatever that's gonna do the job. This is Egypt, a world power. You know what I'm saying? A world power, not a little local power. But
Can
go
I
ahead.
ask this? How many of them mixed multitude? Do they say like?
I don't know.
300?
I don't know. We're gonna finish reading this, dog.
Okay.
A mixed multitude is a mixed multitude.
Okay, I just want to know.
Go ahead.
There's a reason why.
I know
asked
it's the reason why. Because you be listening to Reggie.
No.
You paused too quick on that.
No.
Keep reading.
No, that's not where I got it from.
Okay.
That's not where I got it
Okay. Keep reading.
And the manna was as coriander seed, and the color thereof as the color of bdellium. And the people went about and gathered it and ground it in mills, or beat it in the mortar, and baked it in pans, and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was as the taste of fresh oil.
Keep reading.
And when the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell upon it. Then Moses heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent. And the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly. Moses also was displeased.
So when you're looking at here, the Lord, is this everybody? You know, Israel, the mixed multitude, whatever. It's everybody out here tripping. Go ahead.
And Moses said unto the Lord, wherefore hast thou afflicted thy servant? And wherefore have I not found favor in thy sight, that thou layest the burden of all this people upon me? Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them? That thou shouldest say unto me, carry them in thy bosom, as a nursing father beareth the suckling child, unto the land which swears unto their fathers?
Keep reading.
Whence should I have flesh to give unto this people?
All this people. Go ahead.
All this people. For they weep unto me, saying, give us flesh that we may eat.
He's like, man, they out here complaining, man. Dude, give me some flesh. Go ahead. Keep reading.
I am not able to bear all this people alone, because it is too heavy for me.
Keep going.
And if thou deal thus with me, kill me, I pray thee, out of hand, if I have found favor in thy sight, and let me not see my wretchedness.
All right. So eventually what's going to end up happening, you can read the rest of this story later, is you're going to see that the Lord going to give him so much meat. Skip down to verse 20. Read that verse.
But even a whole month, until it came out at your nostrils, and it be loathsome unto you, because that ye have despised the Lord, which is among you, and have wept before him, saying, why came we forth out of Egypt?
So basically, the mentality that the people had, it wasn't a level of contentment. That's what we getting at here. He was like, look, man, I gave you what you needed, and you would rather have what the Egyptians got to offer.
Isn't that the same as us asking for a king?
Yeah. And it cost us too. And that's the whole thing, just like it cost them. But really, this is a little far more detrimental, because he brought you up out of Egypt. And when he brought you up out of Egypt, you were slaves. Then he brought you out of Egypt and freed you, and you want to complain.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I was going to ask, do you think it's more so the lust of it? That just the reason why he destroyed them towards the end?
Yeah, but when we say the lust of it, lust is, see, a lot of times when we think of the term lust, we think of sexuality or something. Okay. But right, so the lust is the same thing as coveting, and that is exactly right. Because they're not being content. It's like, man, you want that. And I'm giving you something that's even better than that, but you can't be content with it. Yes, but absolutely it is, because, and that's what he said in the mixed multitude of verse 4, that was among them fell a lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, who should give us flesh to eat? Like, that's exactly what this is all about. Look, the Lord is judging your mentality. That's what he on. Let's go over here to Ecclesiastes now, chapter 2. Ecclesiastes chapter 2. And so we're looking at salvation, and the keys to it, or some of the keys to it, is love. And we saw that. And now we're looking at contentment. We're going to be in Ecclesiastes for a little bit, and then we're going to wrap it up after that. So Ecclesiastes chapter 2, we're going to pick it up at verse 4. And this Solomon, the wisest man, richest man. Go ahead.
I made me great works. I builded me houses. I planted me vineyards. I made gardens and orchards. I planted trees in them of all kinds of fruits. I made me pools of water to water therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees.
Go ahead.
I got me servants and maidens.
So this he's saying, man, I'll be getting everything. Go ahead.
I had servants born in my house. Also, I had great possessions of great and small cattle above all that were in Jerusalem before me.
Keep reading.
I gathered me also silver and gold and the peculiar treasure of kings and of the provinces. I gat me men singers and women singers and the delights of the sons of men as musical instruments and that of all sorts.
Keep going.
So I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also, my wisdom remained with me.
Go ahead.
And whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor. And this was my portion of all my labor.
That's why I believe that Solomon wrote this in the end of his days, not in the midst of his days, because he was like, I wouldn't have got everything. And you know, the debate sometimes is, did Solomon start messing with these women and start building them temples before he wrote it or after he wrote it? And I think that he wrote it after he did all that stuff. And that's when he started, because, you know, in his wisdom, he had to see some things that normal people can see so that he can understand it. But go ahead, keep reading.
Then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and on the labor that I had labored to do. And behold, all was vanity.
So what he looked at when he saw everything, he was like, man, it's just all vanity. It's all vain. Like when it's all said and done, it's crazy too. I remember, man, I had this beautiful Cadillac. And my wife drove one day. I don't know why I let her drive my car. And she drove one day, her and her sister, they were going to the movies. And they was talking, and the light turned red, and they were still talking. And she wrecked the car. Man, like Dean, like, you know, at that point in my life, I think I was about maybe 25, 26. For me to have got that, it was like, you know, wow, like, look what I got. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got this big boy Cadillac, everybody, you know, on my tip about it or whatever. And then really, like, when that moment happened, I told her, I was like, well, baby, you know, because she was okay. So I'm like, baby, it's all right. You know, it's just a car. And really, like, it's just vanity. Like, it's just a car. Like, that car got me around like all the other cars I've had since then. As a matter of fact, I done had some cars get me around better that look worse, like my Astro van. Yeah, he got me around. That's what. So I'm just saying, like, he sure don't look like no Cadillac though. You know, but I'm saying that's what I learned that though. That it's all, or like, imagine you get home middle of the night, your joint on fire. You know, you grab the kids, you know what I'm saying? Your wife tell her to grab her purse, and then you out. You done left your 75-inch that you just bought at Walmart. You left your PlayStation 8 that you done, you know what I'm saying? You done high tech the play, like you done left all
surround sound.
Yeah, but it's just vanity. It's nothing. I mean, that's really what it is. It's funny too, because I never was able to get the video game when it came out. Like when the Nintendo came out, first of all, I never had an Atari. I didn't get a Nintendo till like they was on to the next game. I got the Nintendo.
Then you got this.
Yeah. Then same with the Sega. You know what I'm saying? And the PlayStation. Like I was just behind, right? So look, so I'm a grown man now with big kids. PlayStation 4 come out. So I get it when it come out. You know what I mean? Like finally. I finally got to do it. Hey man, I don't never play that joint. I don't, my son do. I don't ever play it. And it's hilarious to me because I was so content all that time, every time being so far behind. And once I was able to get something, it was like, oh, let me go. And then it's like, who cares? Like at this point, I don't even play video games no more. We go to the store, we buy a game. I'm like, what you want to buy, son? You know, and but the point I'm getting at is like, it's all just vain. And it's all about the level of your mind and how is you willing to accept the shoes from Walmart or the shoes from Foot Locker. I'm not buying Walmart shoes. I'm sorry. How about Marshalls? We can do that a little bit. Some stuff is just cheap. JCPenney, okay. But the point that we're getting at is they just shoes, though. You know what I'm saying? And we use them to get around. It's just clothes. It's just a car. You know what I'm saying? You can't sleep in one bed in one room. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to learn. Like, and I'm not trying to tell nobody don't go out here and try to get better. And like, that's not. You have to learn contentment. And what I've learned is when you can be satisfied with what the Lord has given you, then the Lord give you more. Keep reading.
Behold, all was
What
vanity.
verse are we at?
Middle of 11.
So then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and on all the labors that I had labored to do, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit. Go ahead.
And there was no profit under the sun.
Right. And that's what I also learned in this life. Yeah. That as much as you keep getting, you ain't gonna never have it. Like you keep grinding, you keep going out here trying to get every bit of what you can get, and you ain't never satisfied. Go ahead.
And I turned myself to behold wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do that cometh after the king? Mm-hmm. Even that which hath been already done.
So he's saying, like, what can somebody do that come after the king that I already been like? He's basically saying, I'm the top of the food chain. Go ahead.
Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly, as far as light excelleth darkness.
Man, that's a dope statement. So he said when he saw what he learned in all this, his wisdom goes further than folly, like light goes further than darkness. Keep reading.
The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walketh in darkness. And I myself perceived also that one event happeneth to them all.
Go ahead.
Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even to me. Why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart that this also is vanity.
You hear what he's saying? Let me tell you what Solomon's saying. What Solomon's saying is, for as smart as I am, I can't make myself live no longer. So when it's all said and done, for everything that I have accomplished here, I go back to the dirt, just like the poorest of the poor. That's all that happens. Keep reading.
For there is no remembrance of the wise more than the fool forever, seeing that which is now is in the days to come shall be forgotten. And how dieth the wise man as the fool?
Right. He's like, man, the same thing happened to both. How dies the wise man? Just like the fool died. This is what Solomon getting from all this. What he's telling you is you have to learn a level of contentment, because really you can keep trying to be more than what you are, and the reality is you still just here. That's really what you are, and your mind done went somewhere else. Again, kind of like the charity. Your mind, you think you need to have a fur. I do got a fur. Somebody gave it to me though. Keep reading. No, I don't know. Nah, it's too big too. So I don't even know where I get to wear it. It's just gonna be in my closet till I die. So go ahead, verse 17.
Therefore, I hated life.
So look what Solomon's saying. He hated life. This is what you gotta understand, that you can't love life. You have got to say to you have to separate yourself from the world. Go ahead. Therefore, I hated life.
Therefore,
because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me, for all is vanity and vexation of spirit. Let's go over to chapter 5 now. Solomon, that guy. You really just get into his writings and comprehend where he's coming from. He's the wisest man ever lived. That's all. I mean, he has so much to give you.
Yeah.
That's a good question. And really,
That's not wisdom.
I don't know about that.
I think he had to do it so we can talk about it.
Yeah, I think that we too simple to see the world like he did, to really understand why he did what he did. Right, but you have to see That's why I would say I believe he wrote this at the end of his days, after he went through that experience.
You could be wise after you make mistakes.
Absolutely. But he was wise even before he made the mistake.
Yeah, true.
But like I said, I don't think we are wise. And it's kind of like that parable when it says, don't make me poor unless I steal, and don't make me too rich unless I forget about God. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when you are too dumb, you're not going to get this. And when you're too smart, you're going to be too smart for your own good. Almost like a God. Just imagine being smarter than everybody else on the planet. So that means you see everything completely different than how anybody else can. So when he makes a move, you sit there like, because you're not smart enough to comprehend it. And so that's kind of how I see Solomon. And so I think that wisdom was more a curse than a blessing. And that's what he's saying. So at any rate, Ecclesiastes chapter 5, and let's pick it up at verse 8. But that's a great question, by the way. Verse 8. Ecclesiastes 5 and verse 8.
If thou seest the oppression of the poor and violent perverting of judgment and justice in the province, marvel not at the matter. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they.
Meaning higher than they, meaning it's somebody higher. Like, okay, let's take this in our perspective. So if thou seest the oppression of the poor and violent perverting of judgment, like look at our society, look at our government. They oppress the poor. They pervert judgment and justice in the province. He said, don't marvel at that matter. For he that is higher than the highest regard. So the Lord is like he is higher than the highest, because the Lord is looking at that. They higher, and there be higher than they. Keep reading, verse 9.
Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all.
So he's saying, like, look, the profit of the earth, rich or poor, is for everybody. Like the tree don't belong to New York. The tree belongs to the earth. That's why they got what they saw. What is it? Human rights, I think they be talking about. That's like you got human rights. You got civil rights, but then you got human rights, which is kind of like civil rights is within the law. Human rights is the law of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Like you should be able to, even the Bible say, leave a little bit of corn for the poor to walk by and pluck. You know what I'm saying? Like it's telling you got to feel, but still though, like you shouldn't get in trouble for snatching the apple off a tree. That's what he's saying. Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. Go ahead.
He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver.
Right. You love silver, and I give it to you, you're just gonna want more. That's what if you love money and I give it to you, you just gonna want more. It's not going to satisfy you. Satisfy is a mentality. And then today we're discussing contentment, because you need contentment to obtain your salvation. So like you have to learn how to be satisfied with what you got. It don't mean that you don't get up, because you won't have it if you don't get up and work. But what it's saying is, like, it ain't that major. It ain't, it ain't like, for example, $40 an hour, $60 an hour. Well, I can get by on 40, and this 60 got me doing some things I don't want to do. Then don't do it. It's not about the money. I'm gonna tell you, I used to do a bill collector. That was one of my first jobs coming out of college. I was working as a bill collector. And pretty much, see, my way of quitting is I don't just quit, because I can't do that. But once I'm dissatisfied with something, mentally I leave the building. And so, I'm calling in now, and so I'm doing all kinds. I'm breaking whatever rule I want to break. You know what I'm saying? Like now I'm just being like, I don't care no more. Now I was making good money as a bill collector. I got paid on the hour, plus I got a commission from what I collected. But I started feeling real bad when people would be crying to me on the phone about how they ain't got no money, and I'm making them find money. That was like a real bill collector don't just call you to collect money. They help you find your money. You know what I'm saying? Like, taking out mortgages, things that like, it's ways to find money for people if you know how to do so. And I used to be feeling so bad, because I used to be thinking like, this is what I was really thinking. I'm not going to pay my bills. You know what I'm saying? Like my little Sears card that I had on. I'm like, I don't care about that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But yet I'm calling. I just felt hypocritical. And so at that, even though the money was good, I didn't have. I didn't
clear heart.
Yeah, I didn't feel right doing it no more. And so yeah, I guess not. So the point that I'm getting at is, what they say, all money ain't good money. You know what I'm saying? And if you can learn to be content, then you ain't gonna be chasing, 150 a year. No, man, you ain't gonna get it. I'm just saying you ain't gonna be chasing. Because when you do chase it, guess what? You're gonna want something that's more. I got a friend right now, government take care of him. Dude make about, and when I say government, ex-military, retired from the military. So he make about 60 grand a year. And where he live, 60 grand a year is good where he lives. Meaning that's you can live off of 20 grand where he live. So he got 60 and he living off of, whatever, and he get to blow the rest. And so after a couple years, you went and bought him a car, and trashed it. And that's something else I noticed too. Everything you ever get, even from your clothes, you don't take care of nothing. Because I'm understanding what it is, because you ain't working for it. That's what it is. But then all of a sudden, this money ain't enough. Now I'm trying to figure out how come I'm living better than you. I make less money than you, but your money ain't enough. I'm trying to comprehend that. And so now he's still out here in search. So now he make another $4 grand a month. So like he went and find him a little courier because he can't get no real job because the government taking care of him. So he went to find him another $4 grand. I talked to him not too long ago. He's like, yeah, man, I need to find me some more business. I'm like, dude, what are you doing with your money? You should be straight. I'm like, you got such and such amount of money in the bank? Nope. I'm like, how come you ain't got this amount of money in the bank? And I do. And I don't make nearly the type of, and that's the thing. That's about, it's all a mentality. It's all, you ain't never content. And when you don't work for it, man, you blow through it and just want more. That's all you just blow through it and you want. I'm telling you, if you win the lottery, that money's gonna be gone. You're gonna spend money like, some of y'all might be thinking y'all smart enough to hold on. Man, look at it. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I win the lottery, the amount of money that I got in the bank today, that's how I want to get my banking account back to. Maybe 1,000 or 2 more. I don't need all that money. I'm just gonna like honestly, and I don't think y'all do either. Because if I had $200 million or something like that, y'all won't see me for a minute. I'm taking a trip. Like I'm taking a trip out the country. Y'all, what JD? That's what I'm saying. But this is my life, though. This is my work. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, contentment. Let's get back to it. What verse are we at?
The middle of 10.
Go ahead.
Nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity.
He that loveth silver should never satisfy with silver, nor he that loveth abundance. When he get increased, like he ain't gonna be satisfied. It's all vanity. Keep reading.
When goods increase, they are increased that eat them.
Right. When you start getting more, then it's more mouths to feed. That's what end up happening. Keep going.
And what good is there to the owners thereof, saving the beholdings of them with their eyes?
Man, this is so deep. So he's saying like what good is it with all the stuff that you're getting to the owner thereof? It's just for you to look at, bro. Keep going.
The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eat little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep.
Yeah, keep reading.
There is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. But those riches perish by evil travail, and he begetteth a son, and there is nothing in his hand.
Keep going.
As he came forth of his mother's womb, naked shall he return to go as he came, and shall take nothing of his labor, which he may carry away in his hand. And this also is a sore evil, that in all points as he came, so shall he go.
Go ahead.
And what profit hath he that hath labored for the wind?
Go ahead.
All his days also he eateth in darkness, and he hath much sorrow and wrath in his sickness.
Keep going.
Behold, that which I have seen, it is good and comely for one to eat and to drink, and to enjoy the good of his labor, that he taketh under the sun. all the days of his life, which is God giveth him. For it is his portion.
Right. So again, what he's showing you here, ain't nothing wrong with enjoying what God done gave you. You know, you go to school, you went and got your master's degree in chemical engineering or something, and now you work at the chemical plant and they pay you great and you get, 80, 100 hours worth of vacation. Ain't nothing wrong with enjoying it. There is a mentality that you need to obtain, though. And that mentality is contentment. You need to be able to have in your mind, I could walk away from this at any moment. I don't really care. Seriously. Like, I could do without this. And man, you'd be so surprised at how much freedom you will have after that. Keep reading, though. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I lost my spot. I was listening to you. I'm sorry.
18 or 19.
Oh, yeah, the last one. Yeah. Every man also to whom God hath given riches and wealth, and have given him power to eat thereof, and to take his portion, and to rejoice in his labor, this is the gift of God.
Go ahead.
For he shall not much remember the days of his life, because God answereth him in the joy of his heart.
All right. Let's move on over to chapter 6 now. Oh, keep going. Oh, yeah, you got a nice little workload today. 6, 1 through 12.
There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and it is common among men. A man to whom God hath given riches, wealth, and honor, so that he wanteth nothing for his soul of all that he desireth. Yet God giveth him not power to eat thereof, but a stranger eateth it. And this is vanity, and it is an evil disease.
You know who I think of when I think of this right here? My man, Kobe. Like, Kobe Bryant, like, he achieved. You know what I mean? Like, when I say he achieved, like, I mean, this dude didn't get in a car every day. He got in a helicopter every day. Who does that? You know what I'm saying? And he said, there is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and is common among men. A man to whom God hath given riches, wealth, and honor, so that he wanted nothing for his soul, all that he desired, yet God giveth him not power to eat thereof, but a stranger. That's who eating his now. You know, he might be like, well, his wife is, but eventually they're going to be gone too. And that money still exists. And eventually you ain't even gonna know who got it. You know, it's just like, look at Michael Jackson. Who eating off of that now? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
Sony.
Man, a stranger though. Not him. That's the point we're getting at. Not him. What is that? Sony. Yeah. But go ahead, keep reading.
Family too.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. They was already, here's the catch about it. They ain't eating off of it. They still eating off of, you know how people be like, man, they got generational wealth. They still eating off their own plate. Mike money, gonna go to them 3 Gentile kids he got. That's what his money went to. Like, Dad, you couldn't adopt no black kids? Okay.
One might be.
I don't know. But go ahead, where we at?
Verse 3.
Go ahead.
If a man beget 100 children, and live many years, so that the days of his years be many, and his soul be not filled with good, and also that he have no burial, I say that an untimely birth is better than he.
Keep going.
For he cometh in with vanity, and departeth in darkness, and his name shall be covered with darkness.
Keep reading.
Moreover, he hath not seen the sun, nor known anything. This hath more rest than the other.
Keep going.
Yea, though he live in 1,000 years twice told, yet hath he seen no good. Do not all go to one place?
Keep reading.
All the labor of a man is for his mouth, and yet the appetite is not filled.
Go ahead.
For what hath the wise more than the fool? What hath the poor that knoweth to walk before the living?
Right. Like, when it's all said and done, what he getting at is, it's just like when I saw that man, Dennis was with me. I was picking up Dennis from the Greyhound station, and we riding down the street, and we looking at a dude's laying on the concrete, like on the sidewalk, with pillow, blankets, a bunch of blankets, and the cardboard on top of the wood. And you laughing, but he was sleeping better than I was that night. That's crazy, ain't it? Right, and that's what he's telling you right here. He like, man, for what have the wise more than the fool, or what have the poor that know to walk before? Like, when it's all said and done, we all doing the same things. We eating, we sleeping. You know what I'm saying? Like
Was it cold out?
Yeah, it was cold, but he was warm. He was all bundled up, everything. Like I'm telling you, he slept better. That I couldn't believe somebody could sleep like that. And he wasn't the only one. Meaning, it took by the time I got to him, number 4 or 5, to take the picture. So he rolled by a few of them. And I'm like, yo, but I'm saying the whole point that I'm getting at is really what's the difference in me? Oh, well, I got a house to go to. We all just men. That's what he's telling you. You all just men. Period, point blank. And when it's all said and done, he gonna live his life. Like I'm sure he has a social life. Trust me, the homeless people, they got a social life. They be around more homeless people. They know each other, friends, whatever. You know what I mean? And so I'm saying, so what are you doing that he's eating, you eat. You know, when you look at it from the broad perspective of life, what are you doing? So therefore, you out here got your mind focused on getting so much more. But really, when it's all said and done, you and the one that ain't got nothing, y'all both doing the same thing, and y'all gonna end up in the same place. This is what Solomon learned in all this. Keep reading, verse 9. That's why he was like, enjoy what you got, but just keep it in its proper perspective. But go ahead.
Better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of desire. This is also vanity and vexation of spirit.
Better it is to have what you got than for you to be trying to get, you know, and your mind always on something that you trying to get that you really can't get. Better is the sight of the eye than the wandering of the desire. It's vanity. Just like for me to sit here and think one day I'm gonna be a millionaire. You know, I'm winning like that. I'm gonna drive myself nuts if I sat here every day and plotted on what I'm gonna do with my Mega Million win. Which, by the way, I don't even play it. Like whenever when the game come out, I might talk that. I don't even spend my time with it, to be honest, unless it's like super, super big. I might put $1 on it. But go ahead.
That which hath been is named already. And it is known that it is man. Neither may he contend with him that is mightier than he.
Go ahead.
Seeing there be many things that increase vanity. What is man the better? For he knoweth what is good for man is this life.
For who knoweth what is good for man in this life? Like who? Go ahead. Because we, as men, you don't know. Like, because as men, we are trained to go. And I'm not trying to discourage anybody from being on the grind. You know what I'm saying? But you need to keep it in the proper perspective. But I don't want cats walking out there, but I got to be content. So I'm just working 40 hours when you could have worked 45 and it actually got you somewhere. Just learn to be content, though. That's all. Learn to be satisfied with what the Lord blessing you with. Yes. That's all. Go ahead.
All the days of his vain life, which he spendeth as a shadow. For who can tell a man what shall be after him under the sun?
Man, can't nobody. Luke chapter 12. Luke chapter 12. So like that's the thing about this life. You can go out here, grind hard. It was like my granddad. My granddad, he died in 1998. Yeah, he died in 1998. So my granddad was the one that kept my family up with the Joneses. You know, back in the early 80s, late 70s, he worked at the Chrysler plant. He had a Chrysler and he had an Impala. Kept them both clean. He had 2 cars. You know, most people got 1 car at that time. He got 2 cars. He had a house. Him and his next door neighbor was the first black people to move to this neighborhood. So that's a big thing back in 65 when that happened. So, you know, he made good money. You know what I'm saying? He had nice clothes, snakeskin shoes and suits and all that kind of stuff. But I'm saying now he dead though. And none of that even, like nobody even, if I don't tell this story, that story probably don't get told no more. You know what I'm saying? So for all of what he did, what did it really mean? It was nothing. Even though, you know, at the time then my parents and my uncles and aunties and stuff, you know, they might have felt a certain type of way about themselves, but really what did it mean? Like it means, and you want to know what's crazy? All that work he put in, I don't think if we got anything from there, I don't even think it holds no value. I mean, we got the house that he bought, but my grandma don't own it. We own it. You know what I mean? Like he don't even have that. And we bought it for $500. That's how much we bought that house for. That he moved into that neighborhood. And seriously, we bought it off we let it go. We told my grandma, let the house go now because they took out a second or third mortgage. You know how all that stuff go in life. And then finally we was like, well, shoot, let it go because we know how to get it off the tax auction. And that's what we did. So I'm just saying, all that he went and did, all that grinding, all them extra hours at the Chrysler plant, making all this money for what though? I'm just saying, for like what is there now? Nothing. Yes, because you got to get out here and work. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's not about don't do it. It's about learning to be content. That's what I'm saying. For what? You know what I'm saying? You went out here, you went and gathered and gained all this, and then at the end of the day, it ain't even yours no more.
From the sweat of thy brow.
Right. Go ahead. Luke chapter 12. Luke. So if you can keep that in perspective, then when you out here getting it, it don't overrule you, or it don't dominate you, or cause you to make moves that in reality are conflicting of interest between you and God. Like when I was working at my cousin's restaurant, I had to quit. We were selling $10 pounds of shrimp and $10 slabs of rib on the weekend. I felt like I could just go sell dope. I'm serious. Like I was like, at least crack ain't in the Bible. But it's not though. Honestly, and so after that, I said I'll never work in another restaurant because they pretty much sell unclean food. I'm like, I might as well get on the block and sell some dope because I'm gonna make my own money, and at least I don't have to worry about breaking the commandments of God. Just that serious. So it's breaking the commandments of God. I wouldn't do it. What I'm saying is, you don't see crack cocaine in the Bible. To sell marijuana or something like that, that stuff ain't in the Bible. It tell you don't touch pork. So then if I'm gonna sell pork, then I might as well be out here selling drugs is what I'm getting at. Now, whether I'm saying selling drugs is we're not getting into that aspect of the conversation. I'm using the comparison saying biblically, we can't eat shrimp. Biblically, it don't say you can't smoke crack. It don't say that. Right. So I might as well sell. That's all we're getting at. Right. That's what we're getting at. And I'm saying, but that's the point though. Ain't nobody thinking like that though. You see what I'm saying? That's the point that I'm getting at, is that we just do. We don't care if it's a conflict of interest to our God in most cases, because we make an excuse to justify it. Like the person told me last night. Well, what do people feel they ox is in the ditch? They ox ain't in the ditch because they run around here talking about the coronavirus. That's you justifying yourself. Go ahead. Luke chapter 12, pick it up at verse 13.
And one of the company said unto him, Master, speak to my brother, that he divide the inheritance with me. And he said unto him, Man, who made me a judge or a divider over you? And he said unto them, Take heed and beware of the covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesseth.
And again, I don't want to make it sound like I don't try to get nothing, because that's not, I don't live my life like that. I get whatever I want to get, really, to be honest. Just want you to know it don't make you nothing. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't, it don't make you nothing. It's nothing. It's vanity. That's what it is. Whatever it is, whether you live in a one apartment shack or if you live in a 4,000 square foot home with a finished basement, it's just you sleeping in one bed in one spot for the most part. Go ahead, keep reading. And it's mobiles. Go ahead.
And he said unto him,
verse 16.
And he spake a parable unto them, saying, The ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, What shall I do? Because I have no room where to bestow my fruits. And he said, This will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods.
Go ahead.
And I will say to my soul, Soul, thou hast much goods laid for many years. Take shine, ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said unto them, Thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided?
Go ahead.
So is he that layeth up treasure for himself, and he is not rich toward God? And he said unto his disciples, therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, neither for the body, what ye shall put on. The life is more than meat, and the body is more than raiment.
Mm-hmm.
Consider the ravens.
So this is where you want to take all this. Like he's saying, think about something. Look at the ravens. All right, look at the birds. Go ahead.
For they neither sow nor reap.
They don't even work. That's what he said. They don't sow or reap. They don't work. Go ahead.
Which neither have storehouse nor barn.
Right. They ain't got no garage. They ain't got no storage. They ain't got nothing like that. Go ahead.
And God feedeth them. How much more are ye better than the fowls?
So again, on getting a level of contentment. Like I remember when I had Micaiah, my firstborn. This was the time period. It was just a transition in my life going on. So I had a nice Lincoln. I went from the Cadillac to the Lincoln. And I had a Dodge pickup truck. I had nice, I drove around 2 nice vehicles, And no, but it's funny because we was going through transition and I lost both of those vehicles. Couldn't pay for them. And but I ain't never need a ride though. Like right after that, instead of driving them 2 nice cars, I went and bought me some old beat up Mitsubishi Montero truck with no back seat and was happy about it too. Was like, hey, this is getting me around. Then I went and bought me a little beat up Toyota. Like the Lord, but really the Lord was just showing me like, so, it looked good and everybody saw you in it, but it was your vanity. But now, and it was expensive vanity too. We're talking car notes, we're talking insurance. I mean, when I had that 1985 Toyota, it was a stick shift too. Oh, yeah. Man, that bad boy didn't burn no gas. I'm talking, I didn't burn no gas to the point I ain't had to have no gas in it. I just push him up the street and he was gonna crank up and go. I'm saying so, but the Lord showed me though, like the Lord took me through a process of showing me like, look, man, they just cars. They get you where you want to go. That's all they are. Well, I want this BMW. It's cool. It's cool to look good, but really it's just for somebody else to see though. That's ultimately what it is. Now don't get it twisted. Like, you got a family of 6 like me. Yeah, what I'm saying? Like, we gonna need more than that little bucket sitting in front of my house. I'm gonna need a van or SUV or that. But again, though, I'm gonna want that because the reality is, my grandfather had 5 kids and they had 2 cars. You know what I'm saying? Like, meaning they had no big old, like they managed to make it work. That's what I'm saying. That's what you do when you ain't got, you make it work. That's like, I guess I would be taking 2 trips to church every week instead of 1, meaning I'll be leaving a little earlier. You can be content though. That's what I'm getting at. So he said, look at the lilies of the valley, man. Like they toil, they don't reap, they don't sow. Yet, man, they beautiful. Keep reading. No, what verse?
Are we on 25?
Uh-huh.
And which of you with taking thought can add to his stature 1 cubit?
Right. So he said, like, none of y'all can even make yourself taller. Go ahead.
If ye then be not able to do that thing which is least, why take ye thought for the rest?
Keep reading.
Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not. And yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these.
Go ahead.
If then God so clothed the grass, which is today in the field, and tomorrow is cast in the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith?
Right. So what he getting at? Look, you gonna be good, even when it get rough. Just like now, some people ain't working right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like God got them if don't nobody else got them. Now you need to get them. You know what I'm saying? You know somebody around here and they ain't worked for it's almost been a month now. It's been 3 weeks now? Yeah, it's been like 3 weeks. So if they ain't worked in 3 weeks, Like, I mean, come on, man. You know this dude been working at the restaurant. He ain't working 3 weeks. I mean, he ain't got no check. Like, you ain't got nothing extra to throw him? Like, surely you do. You know that, you know them. Like me, I look at it like, man, I throw away at least $5 a day on cigars. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, which comes out to paying some bills. If you think about it over the course of a month, that's a few bills. That's definitely a cell phone bill. Right. So I'm like, what sacrifices can you make to help your brother out? Keep reading though.
And seek not ye what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of a doubtful mind. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after.
Right, he's saying don't even be doubtful, man. Like it's all a mentality. Like, know the Lord got you. Keep reading.
And your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things.
Right.
But rather seek ye the kingdom of God.
So he said, but what you need to be seeking is the kingdom of God, and what?
And all these things shall be added unto you.
Right.
Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
Keep reading.
Sell that ye have.
So he's telling you, you went out and worked so hard to get everything, and he's not literally saying sell all you got. Because I mean, so when does that stop? You know what I'm saying? Because now I ain't got nothing. I gotta go buy it up again to do what? Sell it again? Right. But he's just saying, like, look, be able to do without in a minute. Like sell, like it ain't nothing. Be able to walk away from it all. Keep reading.
And give alms. Provide yourselves bags.
So he says, sell that you have and give alms, meaning give to others. Keep going. Provide yourself bags. Go ahead.
Which wax not old. A treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief reproacheth, neither moth corrupteth.
Go ahead.
For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
Right. So look what he's telling you. He like, man, you need to go and purchase some stuff that can't be stolen. And really what he's saying is some keys to salvation. That's what you need instead of the keys to the Bentley. Let's go over here to 1 Samuel chapter 2. 1 Samuel chapter 2. 1 Samuel. Not even gonna cut none of this because really I want to read that Deuteronomy and I want to read the Philippians too. So we ain't gonna cut it. 1 Samuel chapter 2. And chapter 2, verse 1. I am just like so amazed that see the reason I'm here today is because Elijah was like, because he don't get it either. He was like, hey man, go to New York and make sure they all right. That's what he told him. He's like, you go up there and make sure they all right, because the rest of the world ain't nobody hotels opening. You know what I'm saying? And then this supposed to be like ground zero, right? So, but like I say though, man, propaganda is, you know, you got people behind scenes making moves, you know what I'm saying? It's so much going on, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, this is the worst location for the plague that then came around here. Yet the rest of the world is on over panic. You know what I'm saying? It's like the further you get away from here, the more they panic, because in Philly, we ain't panicking that bad either. I mean, like I said, they shut down everything, but I mean, it ain't like they over there in the Midwest or even in the South. Like down south, I'm like, man, y'all bugging. They're like, no, I mean, people are dying. I'm like, who? Who done died? Who you know that done died? Well, you know, such and such. I was like, they was old. You know, like I mean, people die of the flu all the time, and I'm just saying though. So it amazes. Like I'm getting here today, and I'm expecting to see police.
No,
you don't know. I'm telling you what I'm expecting to see. I'm wondering if I'm gonna make it through New Jersey. That's how the propaganda has everybody on the outside look. You know what I mean? Like this ain't going. Like, look, we can't even get nowhere to feast right now. Because they propaganda like, well, we don't know what's going on. And you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. And then I get here and I'm like I see people outside. I'm talking about like, you know, when I get here, I got to ride past like the beach thing or whatever. But that's what I'm saying. I'm like, man, you would have thought this place was, what they say, the self-quarantine.
No, they're trying to. People just don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, but they not trying. When I say that, see, you're saying they're trying to. And what I'm saying is the propaganda causes you The information is what causes you to react. So and, that's right. I saw that. But so if the information ain't conveyed to you, let me tell you something. If there was a plague out here that was killing people in 24 hours, would nobody be out the house, bro? You see what I'm saying? So the point is that really the agenda here ain't the agenda of the rest of the world, and that's really what we're getting at. But at any rate, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 2. So it just amazes me to see like we like regular house in here, like it's like y'all just ticking like it ain't nothing. 1 Samuel chapter 2, let's pick it up at verse 1.
And Hannah prayed and said, my heart rejoiceth in the Lord. Mine horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth is enlarged over mine enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation.
Go ahead.
There is none holy as the Lord, for there is none beside thee. Neither is there any rock like our God. Talk no more so exceedingly proud. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth.
Go ahead.
For the Lord is the God of knowledge.
And by him what is weighed.
And by him actions are weighed.
You remember that. Well, with God, like talking cheap to him. Like he want to see what you're going to do. Keep reading.
The bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumble are girded with strength. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that were hungry ceased, so that the barren hath borne 7, and she that hath many children is waxed feeble.
Keep going.
The Lord killeth and maketh alive, and bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up.
Go ahead.
The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up.
Keep reading.
He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them.
Right, like the Lord said, I make everything the way it is. I make rich, I make poor. Keep reading.
He will keep the feet of his saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness, for by strength shall no man prevail.
Deuteronomy chapter 8. Deuteronomy chapter 8.
His saints.
Deuteronomy 8, and let's pick it up at verse 7. Deuteronomy 8 to verse 7.
For the Lord thy God, bringing thee into a good land, land of brooks of water, of fountains, and of depths that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and vines, and of fig trees and pomegranates, and land of oil, olive, and honey.
So what he's saying is the Lord done gave you everything you got. Let's skip down to verse 10.
When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless the Lord thy God for the good land which he hath given thee.
Keep reading.
Beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this day.
Keep reading.
Lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses and dwelt therein. And when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that hast is multiplied, then thy heart be lifted up, and thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage.
So he's like, once you get everything you got, it's like all of a sudden you forget God. So he says, then thy heart be lifted up, and thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Who did what?
Who led thee through that great and terrible wilderness.
So he's talking to the children of Israel, and he like, man, because basically what he getting at is everything you done got came by his power. That's what we was reading in Samuel. Keep reading.
Wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions and drought, and there was no water. Who brought forth water out of the rock,
water out of the flint. Go ahead.
Who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not, and he might humble thee, and that he might prove thee, and do thee good at thy latter end.
Verse 17.
And thou say in thine heart, my power and might of mine hand hath gotten me this wealth.
All right, so we was reading all that. The Lord blessed Israel, gave them everything they had, and he was like, look, and thou say in your heart, my power and my might and mine of my hand have gotten me this wealth. Go ahead.
But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he sware unto thy fathers, and it is this day.
Right. So, like, you know, whatever you done meant to, because we already read in Samuel where it's like the Lord done made poor, he done made rich, you know, so on and so forth. But whatever it is, it's the Lord. It's just like everybody that's 6'6" ain't Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of them be poor. You understand what I'm saying? Like, but that all comes from God, though, one way or the other. And that's what you got to remember, is that whatever you have managed to accomplish, you know, where I went to school and got my own master's degree. I worked hard for that. Okay, true indeed. But at the same time, though, it was only by the grace of God that, you know, that boy didn't rape you that day that you didn't see around the corner, who raped the other girl and why her life turned different. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, it was by the grace of God that your daddy didn't molest you, or even that your mom went to work instead of not going, or whatever the case may be. Like, you're thinking this is what you did, but you are nothing more than a product of your environment. That's all you will always be. And so if your environment created something that had the capability of achieving and you did it, then you have to thank that environment. In turn, you have to thank God, because he created that environment. Ain't nothing you did on your own. I don't care how much you achieve. I don't care. Like my daughter, who wants to go to Penn University, and she making a 4 you know, she got 4.0. She grinding. She gonna get all the SAT stuff she need. She gonna do. She might actually, people go. So I'm figuring she's going to go, and she wants to be a doctor. And I'm assuming that that's what she's going to be. But she better not say she did it, because she didn't. Like, when I say she didn't, because it was her environment that did it. From her grandparents to her parents to her uncles, to including you yourselves have to do something, but you are what was created. So if you lazy, that's because the world you came from made you lazy, and you wasn't able to overcome that. So again, what he's saying is, I don't need you to say in your heart, my power and my might made this thing happen. The Lord blessed your hand. That's all it was. We saw in Samuel, he makes some rich, he makes some poor. That's on him. They all the same to him. Philippians chapter 4.
Finish 18.
Philippians chapter 4. No, we good.
It said who brought thee forth water out of the rock of flint.
That's right.
Water and flint.
Oh, that's funny.
You know what I'm saying?
Instantly, I thought of it, and I was
Philippians.
Flint, Michigan.
And you know why I never really put none of that together? Because I am from Detroit.
Yeah.
So Flint, Michigan is just a place on the map that I've never been to.
Well, I'm from around the way, but
No, I'm saying it's right around the corner. And then the other thing is, I done read that so many times, I ain't never thought about Flint, Michigan until you said it.
Really?
Never. There's another reason too. I'll tell you another
where he
time.
came from.
Philippians, it is. Philippians chapter 4. Philippians chapter 4. Let's pick it up in verse 4. You're right.
Rejoice in the Lord always. And again I say, rejoice. Let your moderation be known unto all men.
So he said, let your moderation be known. So people should be able to, it should be evident that you have a level of self-control. Keep reading.
The Lord is at hand.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus.
I think that's my mom's second favorite scripture. Keep reading.
Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good, of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things.
Go ahead.
Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me do, and the God of the peace shall be with you.
Go ahead.
But I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at the last your care of me hath flourished again, wherein ye were also careful, but ye lacked opportunity.
Go ahead.
Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content.
I want you to make sure you understand what Paul just said. Paul said, not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I'm in. Like, that's something that you learn. You, like, society has put something else in your mind, but it's something that you learn, that whatever state you be in, you're going to be content. Like, even with Freddie. I don't know if I ever told y'all about Freddie, but Freddie was a bus driver. He got into an accident, and now the only thing that can move is his head. He's like paralyzed, but he in the word though. And this is like, he like one of the happiest people I know. He is so very content while he sits there. His Bible, oh my God, he go through his Bible like he had this thing in his mouth, and the Bible be like right here because he laid up in the bed. And he like flip pages with his head, you know what I'm saying, and read, get there quicker than you. You know what I'm saying, and just content though. You know what I'm saying? But even in seeing that, though, I had to learn to be content, even with whatever issues and troubles that may come into your life, whether they be physical or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just learn that. You just learn, like, okay, at whatever state you in, like, you really, your brain's still working. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Like, when it's all said and done, your brain's still working. Most of us brains still working. I don't know about Dennis over there. Oh, that's so cute. She was laughing till I said her daddy name. She's like, that ain't funny. Talking about my dad. Your dad, my homie. That's why I talk about him. All right. Go ahead, keep reading.
I know both how to be abased, and I know how to be abound. Everywhere in all things I'm instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me.
Let's go to our last scripture, Matthew chapter 25. So you see the lesson that Paul learned. He was like, man, I learned how to just blend like the chameleon. Yeah, like, I know how to be proud. I know how to be humble. I know how to, and that's really what you trying to, when it's all said and done, that's what you're trying to be. You're trying to be just content. You're trying to be okay. Make the best out of whatever the situation is. Matthew chapter 25. Don't complain. That's what we do, man. We complain so much about everything. Like, I ain't trying to say don't solve a problem, but, your house get invaded by ants. I mean, it could be roaches. You know what I'm saying? So let's just get rid of that. I'm just saying, like, it could be a lot worse. And it's people who are doing probably a lot worse than what your complaint is, more times than not. Matthew chapter 25, and we're going to pick this up at verse 31. Matthew 25, we're going to read this last parable. This is how we're going to finish it. Go ahead.
When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divided his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left.
Go ahead.
Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come ye, blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom, prepared for you and from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee and hungered and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink?
Go ahead.
When saw we thee a stranger and took thee in, or naked, or clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick or in prison and came unto thee?
Go ahead.
And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto me of the least of these of my brethren, ye have done it unto me.
Go ahead.
Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels.
Go ahead.
For I was hungry, and ye gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me not in naked, and ye clothed me not, sick and in prison, and ye visited me not. Then shall they also answer to him, saying, Lord, when saw we an hungered and in a thirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee?
So this is like Judgment Day. God talking to the people, and he like, yo, when did I see you? You know, the people like, man, when did we see you a stranger? Like you was never that. Verse 45.
Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did it not to one of the least of these, ye did it not to me.
So what he getting at there is, finish 46.
And these shall go away unto everlasting punishment, but the righteous into eternal life eternal.
Right. So the point that he was getting at in that story is the way you treating somebody else, that's how you really treat God. So keep that in this perspective as well. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, I hope we got some understanding today. Salvation comes with love and contentment. And I thank you for your time. Real quick, let's see what time it is. Yeah, so maybe 10, 15 minutes we'll do Bible study. Or well, maybe like 4:45, 4:50. So we'll have time to get into that. And also so as far as the feast, make sure y'all getting this bread out your house. That ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. When y'all do the Passover, what do y'all usually do? Do y'all come to Philly for Passover generally? And I know y'all come for the unleavened bread. Well, we're gonna be somewhere. And y'all still in the count. We don't know where we're going yet, though. I'm just telling you, you know what I mean, to be with all honesty. But we're gonna be, and when I say we're gonna be somewhere, like we got some possibilities. We looking for, if they not renting out. See, the issue ain't us. These people don't want to give you nothing because they saying we don't know. And it's crazy because it seemed like Donald Trump said everybody going back to work by Easter. Well, Easter the wrong weekend. We need the weekend before that. So I mean, you know, but the worst case scenario Elijah and I are looking into now is we're gonna probably do what you call it, the Airbnb, and we're gonna look for like a big enough one to where we can, like, okay, here's the thing. For us to have class, we need a space twice this size just to have a class. Meaning to get us and Philly in the same room. Need to be about twice this size, which you can do that in a large enough house. And then we just eat and feast wherever. You know what I'm saying? Throughout this, if that's the route that we end up having to take. But we do have a spot that we were planning on doing business with as far as renting that'll fit everybody. But they was like, you can give us y'all money, but ain't no guarantee that we gonna give it back to you. No, they're not gonna give it back to you, and there's no guarantee that we're gonna let you come into this to this hall. So we like, yeah, like no, like I'm right. I'm like, cause somebody was like, so did you pay them? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna be able to do that. Yeah, I'm like, I need to see what the next day gonna bring first. So like I said, we got some possibilities. So don't worry, we gonna feast, and we gonna get it done in Philly, and that's where we are with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I appreciate y'all patience. Whoever come up here next week, I didn't look at the schedule there. Hopefully we'll have more. Ain't no hopefully too. next Sabbath we'll have the information you need to know what's going on. And other than that, though, I will say, even though I don't like to say it because it make I think a certain way. Like I think everything gonna be cool. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, there's always a contingency plan. So y'all, that might be, if it don't work the way it's supposed to work, how I think God is gonna make it work, then y'all might start figuring out who house y'all want to go kick it with. You know what I'm saying? And it don't have to be everybody at one. It can be 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying? 2. But I'm just saying that's what we would be doing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just letting you know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the reality of it. It wouldn't be nothing that it wouldn't be nothing that we did wrong. We did everything we tried to do to make it happen. But y'all will know next week. You know what I'm saying? And we plan accordingly. So, and then again, if you, y'all always welcome to Philly. So know that.
First Passover was kept in the homes anyway, right?
Absolutely. First feast were too.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, most of the feasts in the Bible, what they would do is they would have a holy convocation, and then they feasted in the city, at home, but the city though, because it was just imagine if everybody in New York was about to be on feast mode, right? So it's like
Thanksgiving almost in a way, everybody in their house.
That's a good way of looking at it, like Thanksgiving, to where because during Thanksgiving time, they got parades, and that's a very good way of looking at it, and that's more to that liking. So at any rate, make sure y'all keeping people in prayer, especially people that's not here today.
Yeah, I heard back from the sign. He just keep it low. With his asthma and all that and that.
Okay, good.
Listen up, brother Keith ain't feeling too well. He's on his way to urgent care right now. So y'all keep him and his family in prayer.
Okay.
So he ain't feeling too tough. He's a strong brother. Y'all see him. But he talking to him now. He can't deal with it. He's on his way into the hospital now.
He think he got hit with that flu?
Nah, he don't know. He ain't saying nothing. Just praying that it's something short.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, you know how I go when it's something serious enough to send you to the hospital. That means you don't feel good. You know what I mean? So hopefully he'll be all right. You know what I mean?
Family in prayer. You know what I'm saying? Keep your ears on. Like you said, you ain't see people that's normally here. What's the older guy? You know what I'm saying? Brother Herman. You know what I'm saying? Reach out, man. Make sure they're doing all right.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, you guys? Let me tell y'all something real funny. Let me tell you something real funny about propaganda. So they say the people who died had ibuprofen in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for ibuprofen right about that. They ain't selling nothing, is it? That's propaganda for you, boy. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying though, that's something for you though. Like, huh? That's what they say. I don't know. See, that's been the rumors floating around. So I don't know. They say take Tylenol.
They said don't take Advil. They said don't take Advil and ibuprofen.
Yeah, that's crazy,
like that.
right?
Yeah.
I feel bad for them though. All right, so let's go ahead and stand face Jerusalem and close it out.
They be having wars that we don't know about.
Yeah, no.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
In earth. As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. In Jesus' name. Amen.
The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee. And be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee. And give thee peace. And they should put my name upon the children of Israel. And I will bless them. Hallelujah. 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 In Jesus' name. Amen. 30 minutes Bible study.
30 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
There's pieces.